Needs to go off the pass. It's on the board. It's 2-1.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Drops it for McDavid. Down low, Couturier. 3:42 to play. It's a brand new hockey game.
Force 1440.
And the Oilers Nation YouTube channel.
A great goal for the win. McDavid in on Anderson. Shoots and scores. Edmonton 4. Philadelphia 3. Overtime.
Well, it's a wonderful Wednesday afternoon for Oiler fans as the losing streak is over. The Edmonton Oilers have got a victory in the 2024-25 season. They avoid going 0-4 for only the third time in franchise history. Welcome to the show. It's a Gregor Show, as always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. And if you had the Oilers, you'll be pretty happy at PlayAlberta.ca. Also, of course, you got MLB playoffs ongoing, a few games in the National Hockey League tonight. The Kings continue their road trip. Also, did one of you win the $65 million Lotto Max? I hope it was you. It was last night. Check your tickets. Somebody won it. Check your tickets. PlayAlberta.ca. I'm Jason Gregor. He is Connor Halley. And the Oilers get a win. It wasn't pretty. I thought they played well for long stretches, and really their best guys finally made an appearance at the 55-minute mark of the game. Because up until that point, Draisaitl, who had been benched for a few shifts early in the third period for taking an undisciplined penalty late in the second period for the second consecutive game, he hadn't done much. McDavid, Bouchard, they're all struggling, couldn't handle the puck. Power play did nothing. Adam Henrique, Connor Brown, they continue to play well. Jeff Skinner, same thing. That line was very good. The Oilers did hit a lot of posts. 3 by my count, but the Flyers hit a few themselves. It was an entertaining game. Had a few tilts. I'm sorry. I'm old school, man. I'm happy the NHL has never banned fighting. I think it would be a terrible move. We don't have the designated huge hitters anymore, right? Guys who play 4 minutes a night and just go crazy. You got guys like Troy Stetcher dropping the flippers. And then you got Corey Perry. Corey Perry is what? 1 goal shy of 80th all-time in goals. 38 years of age. Off the drives like Farabee. You want to dance? And away they go. Crowds right into it. When was the last time you had back-to-back tilts at Edmonton home game? Honestly, I'm going to have to look that up. I can't remember the last time the Oilers had back-to-back tilts like that. Got the building going. And I think it kind of showed the team that, hey, we got to get outside our comfort zone here. We need to be better. We need to be more engaged. I don't know if you're at the game, you would have seen it. When I watched the replay of the game, because I record them all, I watched it this morning. It didn't show it on TV, but after the tilt, Stetcher's in the bench and Couture's in the other one. They see the camera and Stetcher's like, I had to do it. Right? Like, and he wasn't like apologizing. He was just saying, hey, man, I think he realizes what happened against Bagley. Now, keep in mind, if you watch the play, Stuart Skinner stands out. He stands still. Couture runs into him. Now, obviously, the refs felt like, okay, Stuart Skinner's is trying to do a pick play. Whatever. He's not hurt by any stretch of the imagination. I will say I've seen goalie contact much less than that results in a penalty. But regardless, Troy Stetcher, all he sees is his goalie down on the ice. And guess what? He goes after a guy 5-6 inches taller, giving up 25 pounds, stands in there. He does fine. Troy Stetcher's like that little Bantam rooster. Anybody who is at a farm, right? Kind of cocky, walks around, not scared, not afraid of anything. Actually, if you look at Troy Stetcher's fight card, he doesn't fight a lot, but man, he's actually fought a lot of guys bigger than him. So give him credit. Right? It's not the size, it's the willingness. And I'm telling you, That earns you big points in your dressing room. No question in my mind it does. At all. Right? Because if you watch the play, Stetcher's not even looking. He just sees the after effects of the contact. Sees his goalie down. He's like, hey, I got to do something. So now, did that spur on the Edmonton owners? I don't know. But it didn't hurt it. All I know is it spurred on the building. The intensity and the loudness in that rink went up about 5 times just after the Stetcher tilt. And then you come back from the timeout and boom, it's Perry right again. Building's like, hey, this is unreal. Is this like playoffs? You got the intensity going. It was good because, you know what? It'd been a decent game up until that point. Right? Like the Oilers' second period, they came on. Stuart Skinner, I thought, had made some huge stops in the second period. And then Draisaitl, great pass. McDavid finds Bouchard, boom, game tied. And then they win it in overtime. You know, I can't remember. Was it Drysdale or Sanheim on the breakaway where he missed? Now, originally, I know a lot of people thought, oh, McDavid got away with the trip. He tripped him. Well, if you watch the replay, he didn't trip him at all. Now, could they have called a holding penalty on McDavid? They kind of called one similar on Bouchard earlier in the game, but they didn't. McDavid goes down, gets stopped in the breakaway, stays after the play, and the Oilers find a way to get the win. And I think it's a big win. It's early in the season. Now you go to Nashville. Leon Draisaitl, who I could tell after the game, you know what? Hey, you're a little sheepish. He scored the winning goal, which is great. But you got to be more disciplined than that. That's 2 games in a row. Away from the play in a tight game, you're a leader on the team. And so I give head coach Chris Knobloch oodles of respect. Because I'll tell you this. In the sporting world now, superstar guys, they get paid a lot. Right? They carry a lot of weight. Look at Aaron Rodgers. You want the coach fired? He'll get you fired. Now, he'll lie and tell you everything that, oh, he didn't want him fired. BS. Right? The superstar players carry a lot of weight today. A lot. And you know what? As a coach, a younger coach, for him to do it, it's great. Because it sends a message to your team, no one's above our standard. And our standard is you can take a penalty. Penalties are going to happen. But we can't take undisciplined penalties at key times in the game. You just can't do it. And I thought it was great that the coach did that. Now, you don't have to do it forever. Some people are like, oh, you got to bench a guy for a whole period. Why? You miss a few shifts, you're a star player. Message is pretty clear. Wake up. Don't be selfish. Stop being a little bit of a, as I call the kids, poopy pants. Oh, poopy pants, poopy pants. Because basically what Draisaitl did, gets frustrated, takes completely selfish penalty. Can't do it. So the Oilers, you know what? Hey, he responds with a goal and an assist. David gets 2 points, and now the Oilers head out for a brief 2-game road trip. They're into Nashville. The Predators, similar to the Oilers in their first 3 games, they're still looking for a win. Their offense isn't to the level they want it to be. Stamkos, Marchessault, Shea, they haven't connected yet. But as we saw from Edmonton's top guys, they could break out at any point. So the Oilers will have to be ready. You got to think Draisaitl's fairly confident. He loves playing Nashville, especially recently. All he does is score against them. And then you'll have a Western Conference final rematch. You know that Dallas will be up for that game. And I would like to think Edmonton would. Now, they don't have a ton of success in Dallas in the regular season, but it's an opportunity. So they have a chance now, at least a chance, to get back to 500 before the week's out. Then they play Saturday. They have a few days off. They'll fly home, probably have Sunday off. They'll practice Monday. They take on Carolina on Tuesday, then 2-day break, and then Sidney Crosby, of Jenny Malkin, and the Pittsburgh Penguins are here on the night where the Oilers will induct Randy Gregg and Craig McTavish into their Wall of Honor. Well, could we call it the Ring of Honor? I know it's the Oilers Hall of Fame, but to me, it's kind of like the Ring of Honor. It's up on the rings. You see it. So give me your thoughts on the game. 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440 in our inbox. They are your partner in power since 1975. If you're looking for anything electrical gear, they got it all. 24/7. Get it at ewel.ca. Hey, boys, Stetcher's effort was tremendous. Thought it changed the game from Anthony in the hat. Well, it definitely got some people fired up. There's no question about that, Anthony. Hey, boys, goalie interference. Alec Corey Perry skating the crease. Well, the Hyman goal interference last night, I thought that one was kind of the easiest one. Now, I know a lot of people are wondering, why did their first goal of Michkov count? And so the NHL sent out the review that it was still a loose puck in the crease. Now, I watched that play, and then I watched the replay of the Esimont goal that was called off in Tampa Bay. The only thing that I could deduct that was different was so Esimont came around, puts the puck, and the puck stayed against the pad, and then he whacked at it while it was on the pad and kind of pushed it in. Whereas if you look at Michkov, he's hammering the puck's off the pad, it's back, it's never really up against the pad. It's the only thing I could see that was different. So, I don't know. Now, I did ask Stan Bowman, there was no memo sent out by the NHL, in case you're wondering, that they were going to crack down on goalie interference calls. But I don't know, did you see the Carolina game? Like, they're all over the place right now. So while there hasn't been a memo, I don't know, seems like, now maybe it's just me, but I don't seem to recall this many goalie interferences and goals being taken off the board early on last year, like early on this season, like last year. I don't see it being the same. So we'll touch on all of that on the show today. Mike Rupp will be by coming up to kick off the show. He is our Wednesday guest every Wednesday at 2:20. Mike Commodore will join us in the 3 o'clock hour. Yaremchuk will be by. Oh, geez, there's a guy. What? I got to, like, why? Why would you bet to eat cat food again? Sucker for punishment. Like, hey, be dumb once. I did it. Be dumb twice, then you're just dumb. So we'll see. He was a little nervous. Could tell you that. Spec will be by. Cole Bagley will join us. We'll talk a little Utah Hockey Club. Paul Sir will talk a little basketball. We're getting close to another NBA season. There's not a lot of excitement in Raptorville, right? What are they? Can they get into 10th place for the play-in game? That's kind of what the goal is, I would think. I know they're going to want to finish higher. I don't think it's realistic. I don't even think it'd be in the top 10, to be honest. Like, they don't have a superstar. They got some good players, but they don't have any great players. And it might be a tough year for the Raps. We'll talk a little MLB playoffs as tough one for the Guardians, man. They kind of stubbed their toe a little bit last night. I'd say they kind of lost that game more than the Yankees beat them, and so now they're down 2-0, but they go home for Game 3 tomorrow. We do have a Game 3 in New York tonight, the Mets and the Dodgers. Get to all of that and more. Quick break. We'll come back. Mike Rupp will join us on the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook.
Ain't it beautiful? There's electricity in the air. Carrie Dahl here for Volvo of Edmonton, where the Volvo XC40 and C40 fully electric vehicle is now in stock, along with a great selection of Volvo T8 hybrid models. Experience the trusted Volvo quality and technology to power into tomorrow at Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Experience the difference.
Volvo of Edmonton.
Today on Hey Culligan, how smart is your water? Here's Tracy.
Hey Culligan, I think my water might be dumb.
Good news, Tracy. Your water's not dumb. It's just not talking to you.
You can make my water talk.
No, but the new Culligan Smart Drinking Water System can talk to your phone to tell you when your water filters need changing and help you meet drinking water goals.
Now that's some brilliant H2O.
You said it, Tracy, and we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test from a local Culligan water expert at culligan.ca.
When it comes to your health, trust Dr. Bryce Henderson for expert care in hip and knee replacements. With years of experience and advanced techniques, Dr. Henderson helps you regain your mobility and quality of life.
Your health is my priority. Let's get you back to doing what you love.
Put your health in the hands of a trusted expert. Book your consultation with Dr. Henderson today. Visit vitalsurgicalspecialist.ca or call 587-391-7864.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Michelle and Colette are sisters. Sisters who don't agree on much, especially when it comes to which hockey team is the best.
Edmonton is the best, baby. Vancouver's number one.
Even when it comes to meat snacks from Wilhawks.
I love the Harris Schweeder. The ham sausage rules.
But they will agree.
Wilhawk beef jerky is the best.
It might just be the only thing Alberta hockey fans can agree on.
Others can try to imitate, but no one can duplicate Wilhawk beef jerky. Only available in Leduc. Get yours today, because you don't win friends with salad.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Area has to offer Thursday, October 24th at 6 p.m. Get your tickets today at jasongregorpizzapigout.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Back. Look at Wednesday afternoon. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you on Sports 1440. Sports1440.ca, Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook and X. As always, thanks for listening and watching the show. It is time to go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's, and your favorite game is back. Your favorite fast food restaurant, McDonald's. Monopoly is here. Get in, enjoy. Can win free food, simple things like free food, furniture, up to cars, and boatload of other great prizes. But it's done at the end of the month. So stop in and try the Big Arch if you hadn't. Honestly, I think it's our best burger ever. Only at McDonald's, as we are joined by Stanley Cup winner. Guy scored a few goals in Game 7 of a Stanley Cup final. Of course, former NHLer. See him on the NHL Network. Mike Rupp joins us. Also, you can see him on Amazon on Thursday. His first appearance will be next Thursday. Rupper, how you doing, my man?
I'm good, Greggs. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm good. Give me your thoughts. It's early in the season. I know you're watching all the games. Some of the goalie interference calls that we have seen early on, and goals called back. I don't know if you saw the difference between the Esimont goal that didn't count and the Michkov goal that did count. I thought I did, but I can't say for sure. Then you've got guys barely touching the goalie. Kind of looks like they're in the crease. Not really, not for sure. Boom, they're being called back. What do you make of it early on?
Yeah, it's kind of confusing when you sit there and you compare them, right? Because there's a lot of things that look similar, and in a lot of cases, there's different calls that are being made. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's something where I think that if you're seen in a situation where goalies, you kind of put the old pitchfork in there and push them into the net, that should not count. But there's some that I don't really feel like are necessarily that egregious. So, but then just the goalie interference, we've seen a couple already in this young season, and I'm like, okay, come on, that was kind of weak. So, but it always goes back, and I hate to always use the same phrasing in this. I think players literally just want consistency with it, so they know what to expect, and that's where it always is. So you can call it very strict, you can call it very loose, but just make sure it's that way all the time. Kind of like the strike zone in baseball, right? Like, just so we know what we're dealing with. I kind of think that's the main thing, but I also think I personally think it would be really insightful, and it would be something even I would love to have, where the league comes out and, like they do with player safety, and almost just explain, hey, this is why this one was deemed good, and this one is why it was deemed bad. Because I think there's a lot of people that we maybe think they know exactly what it is and what it should look like, but then certain plays happen and we feel like we don't.
Yeah, like they've sent out some. I will say, when they have their suspension, when it's come with the video, it seems to make a little bit more sense. I know they had their explanation of the of the Flyers one last night. And basically it says it informed the officials, blah, blah, blah. Edmonton then challenged. The decision was made in accordance with Rule 69.7, which states, in part, the goal on the ice should have been allowed because, quote, in a rebound situation or where a goalkeeper and attacking player are simultaneously attempting to play a loose puck, whether inside or outside the crease, incidental contact will be permitted, and any goal that is scored as a result thereof will be allowed. And I'm like, okay, but I still don't see the difference between that one and the one that wasn't allowed in Tampa Bay. That's my problem. I'm like, what the hell's going on? So it's a little bit of a confusion there. Now, it's been a few games. I watched him last night, and he quite impressed me. What's been your early impressions of Matvei Michkov?
I think he's got a little bit of Kirill Kaprizov in him. I mean, that's the player that jumps out to me and I watch. I don't know, maybe it's because he kind of opens up his legs like does the 10 and 2 all the time to kind of garner some momentum. But I also think it's probably more so he's stocky. He goes to the hard areas. He's not afraid of those areas. So yeah, I mean he's got a little ways to go, I think, because of the way Kirill Kaprizov is burst on the scene in the NHL here. But I think I see that. He's also kind of funny too. He hasn't had much of a run so far as games played, but he tends to like that spot on the ice, kind of like Leon Draisaitl does, right? And you saw the goal last night. But if you look at his shots already this young season, like he's got a few looks over there. He likes to get to that area, kind of on that goal line, that quote unquote bad angle, and he's ready to shoot it at all times. I will say the one thing that jumped out to me, and man, this is going to come across as being Debbie Downer on Michkov. There's nothing bad I could say about the guy. He's been awesome, and he's going to continue to grow. But it's a little bit of a teaching moment is in overtime. Just a little recommendation, just being able to recognize who you're on the ice with. I think it's tough for some of these guys. Like he's been the best player on the ice in a lot of the games of his life. And you're in the National Hockey League now, although he's been spectacular. You're on the ice with Leon and Connor in overtime, and Connor gets that breakaway and he misses it. And Michkov kind of swings and he's looking to get a breakaway the other way. Right. And I think that if you're out there with those two guys, you almost have to give way that those two guys are better players and we have to survive this shift as opposed to necessarily trying to take a big chance. So that was just a complete nitpicking. Things he's going to learn to make him more of a complete player. But I'll tell you what, man, this kid's got talent. He's a fun watch.
Mike Rupp joins us. Rupp or Chris Knobloch sat Leon Draisaitl down for a few shifts in the third period after taking his second consecutive undisciplined penalty late in the second period. Did it against Calgary, did it against Philadelphia. I love the decision by the coach. Some say it's a risk. Where do you come out?
I think that your team. You got to have a relationship and understand what is going to work. I mean, there's for a coach to do that. I believe that he has a firm assessment that this guy's a good team guy and he's going to respond the right way. And he might not be happy about it. He might even. I'm not saying Leon did that. I didn't really catch his post game, but there's not. You can get upset and maybe say a couple things, but at the end of the day, you want a response, and that's what I think he's looking for. There is an accountability because if you can pull that off and do that, it opens up the eyes of everybody else on that roster.
Yeah.
And I think it's really tricky when you have superstars that have never been held accountable. That's where you lose teams. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I love that he did it. I think that Leon is an absolute gamer, and he might even throw the odd comment in the media that he didn't appreciate it. Someday there's probably going to be another one, and he may do that. But at the end of the day, you're going to get a response from him on the ice, and I think that's what matters.
Yeah, after the game, he said, you know what, the penalty was selfish. He didn't talk about the benching per se, but did admit that the penalty he can't take. So I think he understood the punishment. And you know what? It's only a few shifts. But still, it's probably 5-6 whatever minutes it was without him playing, and feels like a lifetime for a guy who plays 20 minutes a night. So, to me, I liked it. You look at timing about everything too, right? If the Oilers are 3-0, Mike, he probably doesn't do it, right? Like I'm sure you have to look at the big picture. You're trailing in a game. You put your team down. Now they didn't score, but you haven't really played to your level. It's not like Draisaitl's being dominant either. So I think there's lots of factors that go into it when a coach ultimately decides to make that decision.
No, you know what, too, and I've been in situations where I've seen guys like this, too. You lean into those guys, right? But then when you get the OT winner, yeah, I guarantee you inside that room, when they walk in that room and the music's going, I guarantee you Knobloch comes by, maybe gives him a little fist pump, gives him a little hell yeah, just looks at him. No words need to be said. That's it. You know what I mean? You're our guy. We need you, but we need those things corrected. So, yeah, I think it goes a long way.
Yeah. No, it totally does. Mike Rupp joins us here on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook. Rupper, how concerned are you about Colorado or Nashville?
I'm concerned about them both. Probably. Okay, so I'll put Edmonton in this because up until last night's game, they're still looking for their first win, right?
Yeah.
I haven't been as concerned with Edmonton. I'm not poo-poo in the Pacific Division. It's just not the division that the Central is. Edmonton will have time, and I think Edmonton's build of their team is they'll figure this out and get going. Colorado, on the other hand, and Nashville. You got these two teams in the Central. I mean, I think the Dallas Stars are the cream of the crop of the Central. After that, I mean, any single team, probably outside of Chicago's probably not going to be a playoff team. But they're not an easy out like they were last year. But you've got a lot of teams. I have no idea where it's going to go. There might be 5 teams from the Central. That is not working in the favor of either of those teams. And to go off, contrary to what I said about Edmonton, Colorado's not built well right now.
No.
They are a very, 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 skin and bones team right now. There's they don't have much. And guess what? Not much is going to be coming through the door here anytime soon. I heard L.A. Friedman talking about it earlier today. The earliest it sounds like Nichushkin would potentially be ready to come back and join the team is a month. Gabe Landeskog, I mean, I pray that this guy will be able to play hockey, and we don't know anything about that. And the Lehkonen injury, he's still a little bit out, and he seems to keep kind of getting dinged up. So you look at this group, it is a thin group. They're not getting goaltending. I'm very concerned that this team's not going to make the playoffs. And this type of start in that division doesn't help them. Nashville, on the other hand, I actually feel a little more patient with them because you're adding 2 players into the group that have, I mean, they demand a lot of minutes. It's going to take some time. It's not great right now. They're not defending or having the work ethic, I think, that this team has been known to do the last couple of seasons. So it'll take a little bit of time. I think I'm a little more patient with Nashville than I am Colorado, but I mean, they got to turn it around here quick too.
Yeah, Colorado, it's their depth, man. It's not necessarily their injuries. It's also like, look at the guys they got in that lineup because of it. Like it's a skeleton crew. And then you throw in the fact that their goaltending isn't playing very well. That makes it, it makes it a lot more difficult to say, okay, you know what? We'll try to rely on our top guys, but then our goaltending is going to win us some games. But that's not happening right now. Their goaltending's and essentially losing them games more than even trying to keep them in games. So that's a little bit of an issue. And one last one for you. The Carolina Hurricanes, you got to read on that team. Is it way too early to know? Like, they had a lot of changes. They really, 2 of their top 4 defensemen are gone. I think they've taken a step back. I'm not sure I put them in the real contender. I think they're a playoff team, but I don't see they're a contender team. Where do you have them?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think they're a team that I got my eyes kind of focused on Rod Brindamore this year, and I think this is going to be one of the more challenging seasons for him as a coach. And the reason why I say that, he's a heck of a coach. We know this. And what he's established there is it just kind of seems like this team goes out and plays a certain way all the time.
Yeah.
But they're not built like they were last year, right? And even if they were, that recipe hasn't really worked out for them in the playoffs.
Nope.
So I'm curious can they make changes on the fly? What can they do with this group to kind of get them over the hump, and maybe having a little less, firepower with that group, or a little less cachet. Maybe that'll wake some of the players up to be like, hey, it might have to be done differently this year. But they're a good team. I think they're going to certainly be in the mix there. But I don't put them as a team that I don't see them winning the Metro Division. I don't see them being a top contender in the Eastern Conference. They're a good team, and we'll have to see where it goes. But they're going to have to make some changes along the way, I would assume.
Yeah, well, they're going to need some guys to really step up. And a lot of people think about Seth Jarvis, and I'm like, yeah, I like Seth Jarvis. I don't love Seth Jarvis to be a guy who's suddenly going to be carrying your team offensively. And I don't know if they have that. And I just That to me has always been the problem in Carolina. They have a lot of really good players, but they don't have a great player.
Yeah. And we'll see if Svechnikov can take that next step. I think that's one that they're looking for.
Yeah. Rupper, as always, man, great stuff. We will chat with you next Wednesday. Have a good week.
Awesome. Enjoy.
There you go. That's Mike Rupp. Joins us every Wednesday here in Sports 1440 around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's. And did you know that every time you go to McDonald's, a portion, doesn't matter, you buy a Big Mac, you buy a cone, you buy a pie, a portion of that will go directly to Ronald McDonald House here in Edmonton that helps families at the worst possible time when their kids are sick in the hospital and you need a place that's close. Well, that's where Ronald McDonald House comes in. And so just remember that when you go there, say, hey, guess what? Doing my part, helping out Ronald McDonald House. 2:30, we got a lot of text flying in. 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440. Hey, guys, I wish Nurse was willing to get the benching crowd into it like Stetcher did. Hathaway was giving him a few good body shots. Nurse didn't do anything. What are your thoughts from Trev? Well, I think timing is a big deal for things. I actually think Nurse has been way more aggressive in scrums this year than he has been. Like he's I can't remember who was it. Tippett, kind of came in and, he went right at him. So thing is, though, Darnell Nurse, who plays 20, 21 minutes a night, Hathaway's a fourth line winger for the other team. So if Hathaway is not running any of your guys, why is that a fight you would take? That would be my question. Right now, if Nurse runs their goalie or someone, I'm sure he understands the unwritten rule factor, and he would do what Sean Couturier did. I respect that. But to just go fight Hathaway because you want him to fight, I don't think that's the right move. Now, if you're really mad and there's something that's led to it, sure. But that's a trade-off that Philly would take all day long. And again, I have no problem if Nurse fights him if there's a reason to do it. I don't think there was a reason last night for him to do it. So, hey guys, I'm not concerned about the forwards. They'll get it going. However, the holes on defense are apparent. I think the back end appears to be a bit of a Band-Aid fix. We need an Ekholm-like trade for the right side. Burns or Carlson type of player available from Al. Well, I can tell you right now, Erik Karlsson would not be the answer for the Oilers. Not now for this decor. I don't think so. Way too expensive. They don't have the cap space to do it. Doesn't make any sense. Now, Brent Burns, sign me up. I'd be interested in Burns, although he has a no movement clause, and I know he loves living there. I'd say, I could be wrong, but my initial gut would say pretty slim chance that he would be coming here. It's, his stage of his career, his son's embedded in the hockey community there. Right, they love the minor hockey system in Carolina where they're playing. So I think that factors in. Now, he is in the final year of his deal. He's only making $5.28 million. Would he want a shot at a cup? I think you might be able to get Brent Burns closer to the deadline. I don't think you have any chance of getting him in October, November. But I think later in the year, if all of a sudden he's like, oh, geez, man, like I'm 39 years of age. But he's another one of those guys who's aged very well. Guy's in great shape. He works incredibly hard. So I could see it. At the deadline, maybe. But would he, teams I know want to come to Edmonton now. So that might change it for him. But he would definitely be on my list. Now, do I think Carolina is not going to be in the playoffs mix? I'd be surprised if they weren't. So I think it'd be hard to envision Brent Burns being available. You never know. But I'd be surprised. They'd have to be out of it, wouldn't they, Cons? Carolina would have to be out of it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in it, why would you move on from him and all that he brings, right? And like you said, no movement clause, attachment to the team. I mean, he's there. He's a competitor. He probably feels like they have a chance to do something. Obviously, we've talked about that team for a long time, and maybe at some point they got to try to bring someone in. They did it last year and weren't able to keep Gensel. But yeah, I mean, he would be someone, if he was made available, I think he's got to skyrocket to the top of every team's list. Who wouldn't want him inserted into their lineup? Not only can he play, the guy's just a beauty of a human. So yeah, I think that's someone. I think a lot of teams would have some, I guess, desire to land if they could.
Hey guys, don't you feel the NHL is the no offense league? They do everything in their power to take goals off the board. It's just the exact opposite as the NBA. As far as I know, fans love goals. Just seems strange to me from Dallas. Well, I think what Rupper said was bang on. We talked about this yesterday. To me, it's got to be pretty clear. Now, if you want to say you're not allowed in the crease, then make it abundantly clear. Because last year we've seen guys in the crease, right there on top of the crease. So now, is it your skates are out of the crease? But what if your skates are out of the crease, but you're leaning backwards and your butt's in the crease? Does that work? Does it count? Like, what's the rule? So what's deemed in the crease? Right? That's kind of what makes it challenging. You know, like in offside, if you're skating in on the blue line and your body's a foot in, but you drag your back leg, you're not completely offside. So you're onside. So how does it work for the crease? Are you completely out? As long as your skates are out, can you stick your rear end out, think you're Yarmer Yager in the corner? Can you do that? I've never really seen a clear-cut definition on it. And what if you're standing still, not moving, and then the goalie moves up, and you're right at the top of the crease, your feet are outside the crease, and then he touches you? Does that negate you initiating? If you don't initiate the contact because you're outside, should that goal count? Like, to me, they've got to be a little bit more clear. And hey, if you want to call it strict, then call it strict. I don't care. But then there is the number. Everybody knows where the line is. And then if you cross it, it's on you. But right now, the line seems to be, it's like one of those guys who's painting the line on the highway. You've driven on the highway sometime. You're like, oh, look at this guy. Whoa, something happened here. All of a sudden, the line's out of, that's what happens in the NHL. You're going along, dude, all of a sudden, oh, here's a little divot, side of the road. You had to go around it. So now all of a sudden, I don't know what's legal and what isn't. So I would like that, because it just seems that early on this year, and it's not just Edmonton. It was in the Tampa-Vancouver game. It was in the Carolina game. It's been in the Ranger game. There's been a lot of other ones. So to me, it's an issue. So, hey, boys, I have the Avs goalie in my hockey pool against Boston. He's been horrible. Should I just sit him and not risk losing points? Upside is +5 if he wins and -2 if he loses, from Skippy. Well, can you dress a lineup where you don't have a goalie? I don't know the rules of your league. Like, I don't think so, Cons. Wouldn't that be an illegal lineup? Don't you have to have a goalie? Like, do you have a backup? Do you have another option? Or I guess it's a daily one, so you probably don't have your other goalie's not playing, is what I'm guessing. So can you play, though, no goalie and just basically say I'm taking a 0? Is that allowed? I don't play fantasy hockey, so I don't know the answer.
Yeah, I mean, I think that could be allowed. I guess we have to see what the rest of the roster looks like. No, there's only 3 other games tonight, so maybe you don't have anyone you have to go with. Don't you got to roll with your guy, though? Maybe this is why I haven't won a fantasy football league in a couple of years. Too loyal to the team I drafted. Don't you got to go with your guys and believe they can get the job done?
Not when they're playing that terrible. You don't. Be realistic.
Come on, you're at home. They're due. McKinnon's going to break out.
Hey, guys, nice to see a coach finally have the nuts to bench one of their stars. In fact, I thought he could have done it earlier in the game as Draisaitl a couple of lazy efforts along the boards trying to clear the puck. He really looked engaged until the benching from JC. Buddy, I'm totally with you. The Oilers' top guys through the first 40 minutes were, again, on the side of a milk carton. Missing in action. APB, all points bulletin. Hello, where are they? Now, they showed up at the end. Great. But they got to be way better from the puck drop against Nashville. But as I said, that second line did it again. Brown, Henrique, Skinner, they were excellent. Again, which is a good sign. So now Draisaitl and McDavid did make their presence felt in the last 5 minutes in overtime, no question. So you can kind of say welcome to the season. Still looking for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. He needs to get involved if we're talking about forwards. But a lot of the other guys, like I've liked Janmark's game. Podkolzin's been all right. Hasn't been great. Hasn't been bad. He's just kind of been all right. I really like Skinner, Henrique, and Brown. I think those have been the 3 best forwards through 4 games. And honestly, I don't think it's very close. But we'll see. The McDavid and Draisaitl, as we said, they had 2 points in a span of 6 minutes. That's what they're capable of. And if they can get going, it'll just make it easier for everyone. Hey, boys, these interference calls bear a striking resemblance to the days when they disallow a goal because the guy had his toe in the crease from Walter. Well, yeah, the toe in the crease was terrible. I never loved that rule, especially because if you're not even around the goalie. But if you want to make it cut and dry, you're not allowed contact on the goalie. However, if you're standing outside the crease and the goalie comes to the top of the crease and he initiates it, and the goal is scored because of it, that should be a goal, in my opinion. But I think they need to make it a little bit more clear. 240-833-401-1440. You can call us or text us, give us your thoughts on the game last night. Stetcher staying in the lineup, obviously. I'm thinking Skinner. I thought Stu Skinner second period, he played quite well. I actually thought for the most of the game he was pretty good. Obviously, he had no chance on the Ekholm goal, own goal that is. The first Michkov goal, I don't think he played that poorly. And the second one, that's kind of like a Draisaitl shot from the side. You're like, okay, pretty good shot. That was a pretty solid effort from Skinner last night. He made a partial breakaway save. He made a few huge stops. That one coming across on Sanheim in the second period, I thought that was a huge save when it was 2-1. So he made some key saves for the team. Good step forward for him as well. I think I would go with him against Nashville, and I could see Picker get in the matinee game in Dallas. But they might go to Skinner too. We'll see. Quick break. We'll come back with more. 833-401-1440. It's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, sports1440.ca. Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook and X. As always, presented by our title sponsor, PlayAlberta.ca.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at cantork.com.
Gateway Toyota treats us like we're precious gems.
Because that's what we are.
Every vehicle purchased from Gateway Toyota includes enrollment into their GEM program. It stands for Gateway Exclusive Membership.
And it gives you 5-year access to over $2,500 in benefits.
Free oil changes.
Free tire and windshield repair.
Free car washes.
Even an annual detailing.
You'll also get special discounts, trade-in bonuses, and referral rewards.
I feel like a gem.
At Gateway Toyota, just off Calgary Trail at Ellerslie Road.
From bench to bench, sport to sport, Elite Promotional Marketing will help take your teamwear to the next level with a wide selection of uniforms, apparel, and promotional products. So when you want your team to look elite, head to ElitePromoMarketing.com.
Carve out for a cause at the 6th Annual Jason Gregor Pizza Pig-Out presented by Swift. Thursday, October 24th at the Canadian Ice House. Indulge in unlimited pizza while raising some dough for kids' sport. Vote for your favorite slice to crown the People's Choice Awards winners. Don't miss Edmonton's biggest pizza party with Gregor broadcasting live. Tickets are $60 or $200 for a group of 4. Adults only. Buy your tickets today. For more details, see JasonGregorPizzaPigout.com.
The madness continues at the Brick. Find huge savings in every department, like up to $900 off sofas and sectionals, up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture, up to $800 off select big screen televisions, and up to 40% off select mattresses. Plus, buy more, save more, up to an additional $500 off select major kitchen appliances. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. At the Brick, saving you more.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
At the end of the day, I don't just feel like I worked hard. I can see my hard work with my own eyes. At the end of the day, I come home to my own place. At the end of the day, I know I'm making a difference in my community. At the end of the day, I grab a bite with my coworkers, or as I like to call them, my friends. At the end of the day, I wouldn't trade a career in the trades for anything.
Get more with a career in the trades. Explore careers at alberta.ca/trades. A message from the Government of Alberta.
Portions of this hour brought to you by eWell. eWell.ca is your power play partner with a new website that puts the power in your hands with 24/7 ordering and shipping within Edmonton and across Alberta. Score an account today at ewel.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Lovely Wednesday afternoon. Happy hump day. Welcome back. Gregor Halley with you on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook. Hope you're having a lovely day. 833-401-1440 is the text line. Or you can call us in your thoughts early on for the Edmonton Oilers. Has your temperature of concern gone down after last night's victory, where the Oilers actually had a tic-tac-toe goal from Draisaitl, McDavid to Bouchard, and you're like, okay, I've seen that before. And then, you know what? That might be it. And all of a sudden, those guys got their game. We'll see. They take on Nashville tomorrow. The Predators are still looking for a victory, as there's not many teams left in the NHL in that category who are winless. But some teams that maybe you didn't think would be winless early on this season. The Sharks, probably not a surprise. They're 0-1-2. Vancouver also 0-1-2. They got 2 points in 3 games. Nashville's 0-3. They've been outscored 14-6. And the Avalanche are 0-3 and have been outscored 20-10. So not a deal. Now, it's not like the Oilers are juggernauts, of course, but they move into a tie for whatever, 2 points. So the good news is they're not winless, but they got a long ways to go to get back in to things, and we'll see what happens when they take on the Predators tomorrow. Tonight's 4 games on sked. You have the Sabres and the Penguins. LA's in Toronto. LA on their 7-game road trip to start the season. They are 1-0-2, and they had a crazy game in Ottawa, losing 8-7. On Monday afternoon. Boston is in Colorado to take on the Avs, trying to add a little bit more pain to their start of the season. And the Utah Hockey Club on the road in Anaheim. Dostal will get the start for the Ducks, yet to give up a goal. Grant has only had 1 start, but still. You get a shutout in your first game. It's not bad. Not bad start at all. Hey, guys, I thought last night was a huge character win there. Scrappy worked hell. Great attitude to not let the ref and BS get them down and finally go out there and play hard regardless. I love Nurse's game, and my jaw dropped to the floor when Stetcher got into that fight. That was awesome. Stu should have flattened the Flyer player. Finally, no more Mr. Nice Team. Finally, a game to be proud of. That one comes from Richards. Hey, boys, Oilers needed a game like that to wake them up. They got some adrenaline. It's almost like, okay, the regular season is here. From the Stair Farmer. I don't disagree. Hey, Greg's, what about Kramer on Seinfeld painting the lines on the highway? Well, wasn't he removing the lines? Because all of a sudden everybody had the wider lanes and everyone's like, oh, this is glorious. Right? Oh, classic. And then, in typical Kramer fashion, because what were they? It wasn't turpentine. I can't remember what the hell it was that they had in the big barrel. And remember when they spilled it and then all of a sudden it catches on fire. Oh, man. It's there's so many classic Seinfeld moments. So many classics. Hey guys, the NHL needs to do what the NFL did. It was a painful learning curve, but now you basically know if a catch is a catch, are the toes down, ball in control. This is what needs to be done for interference on goalies. From Scooter. I don't disagree with you at all, Scooter. I think it's a very well said point. We talked about it last night with Andrew on the post-game show here on Sports 1440. If you haven't tuned in, you should. Pre-game show will be tomorrow at 5 o'clock right here on Sports 1440 with Walker and Paulson. And then, of course, around for all the post-game reaction. And I think it's a great comparison because for a long time you're in the NFL, you're like, is that a catch? Is that not a catch? Well, now you know. It had a little bit of growing pains, but because you can't expect something to just be instantaneous, you got to look and say, okay, what we're doing Now, here's the thing, though. I didn't notice this as much last year. Now, I know guys who go to the net, they're going to be involved in these calls. That's just how it is. So I understand it. You live around the net, you kind of live and die with it. But usually you have way more goals go in for you than against, so you do it. But this seems to be around the NHL in lots of different places early on in the season. So who knows? Maybe it's just a weird thing. I'm not saying you have to Matt Duchene everything and overreact, but there doesn't seem to be a kind of a clear-cut one. Now, there might never be clear-cut, but they don't even have the wording of what does in the crease mean. If your feet are outside the crease, but your body's in, are you in the crease? Because my theory, in common sense, I would say, yes, you're in the crease. But if you go by the offside rule, if your skates are outside the crease, then you're not in the crease. So which one is it? I don't know. They don't explain it. So, hey guys, I thought Draisaitl played this way last year until the coach got fired. No, I don't recall that. The Oilers actually could score a little bit last year early on. They just couldn't save. They didn't get any saves. Their defense was weak. Wasn't a great start. Draisaitl, I thought that was a very direct, not overzealous message to say, hey, you're one of our leaders. Enough's enough with the selfish penalties. And let's move on. And that's what he did, right? I don't know if you heard Knobloch's answers in the press conference after the game, and maybe we'll play him a little bit later. But when he asked about Draisaitl, didn't want to name him by name. He doesn't want to out the guy anymore, even though everybody knows what happens. He just said, hey, Leon's more valuable to us on the ice. Fair point. As a team, we need to be better disciplined. Fair point. And he didn't name specifically, but we kind of knew to say, hey, we got to be more disciplined. And to Draisaitl's credit, he said it. Like, to me, there's not much else to be said about that. But I have no issue with what the coach did. And I don't expect Draisaitl to be super excited about it. But at the same time, you got to accept it because you knew it was a bad penalty. And he did take ownership and said, it's a bad penalty. I can't take that penalty. And that's good. Now they'll move on. So, hey, boys, I've been waiting for years for the Oilers to have a legit third line. I love it. Brown, Rico, and Janmark from Joe Daddy. And last night it was Skinner, right? Because they moved it around. But I think there's, you got Henrique and Brown for sure. They're going to stay together. They've kind of moved the left wingers around a little bit. Right, obviously Nugent Hopkins went to center, but you've had Podkolzin up, you've had Janmark up, and those guys have been as high as the second line, down low as the fourth line, and everywhere in between. And I think that'll probably continue for a bit. But I've really liked Jeff Skinner's games the last two games. Now Skinner, unfortunately, because he doesn't kill penalties, and there were so many penalties by the Oilers yesterday, he didn't get into the rhythm as much as you would like. And the coach even admitted that he would like to get him. I'd like to get him in more, but what do you do? Hey, guys, I'm impressed with Skinner. He's not a guy that thinks twice about shooting. He's a shooter first, passer second. The Oilers need to follow his lead, especially on the power play from JP or TJP. Yeah, Skinner, he is not afraid to shoot the puck. You know what I like about him is look at his instincts and how he reads the play in the offensive zone. He comes into the offensive zone. He knows when to slow down. He knows how to find the openings, and he always gets himself in a spot where he can shoot the puck. And I love it. You're right. You need a guy like that. And I think that, you know what? Skinner's a veteran player. He just wanted to get through the preseason, and he did. But I think he's really elevated his game here the last few. And I think it's only a matter of time before you're going to see him. Now, he scored his first shift with McDavid on that line. I won't be surprised if you're back. And even if you watch that goal, look at where Skinner was. So he started out, he's on the left side of the net. The puck goes back around. What does he do? He circles around behind the net and comes out the other side, positioning himself, saying, hey, D-man, if you want to come across the crease here, I can one-time it. He didn't, but the rebound comes to him, boom, wide open. Like, go back and watch that. That is a great video to show some kids about just you've got to move and always look for the opening. And it does. And the opening isn't just 2 feet from you. It's reading the play and say, okay, if I go over here, now I have two options. A, if he shoots, rebound might come to me. B, I'm an open pass. And I really, I've watched Skinner a bit, but he's played on the East Coast, Florida and Buffalo. Sorry, Carolina and Buffalo. It's not like those two teams are ones I'm lining up to watch a ton, to be honest. But I've been really impressed by his offensive instincts. And he's not fast, but he's quick in short spaces. And the other thing I like about Skinner is he's not going to fight anyone. He's not really going to hit anybody. But he'll give guys sticks, right? He fights for his space on the ice. For a goal scorer, I quite like it. So I've really liked his play early on for Edmonton. He's exactly the type of player they needed. We knew his shot. He's not afraid to shoot on a team that's got a lot of natural passers. I think it's a great fit. But what's impressed me more is just how he sees the ice and how he gets to the openings. So watch that for the next game. I think you'll be impressed. So. Hey, guys, I was chatting with some friends the other day. I know Dustin Bufflin did it, but is there any chance players to switch from D to offense, vice versa? Can't be an easy transition. Probably easier to go to defense to offense, I'd say. Well, Brent Burns tried it, remember? Hey, he was D-man, then he went and played forward for a bit, and then they're like, no, he's back as a defenseman. Could some players do it? Yeah. Struddy talked about it. He did it a few times in Vancouver. He didn't like it. He did it a few games in Edmonton. Now, when he went up to play forward, they weren't looking for him to be an offensive guy. It was to be a crash and banger. So I think you can go up and down your wing. Steve Stais did it for a short period of time. But you got to remember, the NHL is the hardest league in the world. So what is your end goal when you think you're going to move a player up? I know people, move Darnell Nurse to forward. Why? What do you think he's going to be better at as a forward? I guess he'd be quick on the forecheck. But I don't see how moving Darnell Nurse to forward helps you at all. I don't get it. So, hey, guys, I think it sends a message no one's above the team on the Draisaitl bench and from Chad. 100% it does. Now, here's the thing. Everybody knows. I know that we like, especially nowadays in society, everybody's like, everybody should be treated the same. It's impossible. There's lots of different things that go on. You're not going to have complete uniformity across the board. It's not realistic. And in hockey, your first line guys will get a little bit more rope than your bottom end guys. Because the fact of the matter is, if you give them the same amount of scoring chances, guess what's going to happen? Your best guys are going to score more. Just a fact. So I think that was not a one-off. It's not like the coach, and no good coach benches someone from one mistake. It's something that adds up and keeps adding up. And again, it was for a short period of time, but the message was clear. Undisciplined penalties, unacceptable. So I quite liked it. I don't think it's something you're going to see very often. I don't think Leon Draisaitl is going to need it very often. But also the coach, like the truth of the matter is when you like it or not, Leon Draisaitl will get different treatment than Derek Ryan or Podkolzin. Connor Brown. He just will. Now, you might not like it, but that's just how it is at that high level. When you have superstars, that can make a big difference. So, hey, guys, if Nurse plays like he did last night the rest of the year, the chatter will be pretty quiet. I thought he had a great game from Nathan. Actually, you know what's funny? I think Nurse has actually been quietly pretty good this year. For a guy who's played 4 games and had 3 different defense partners, anyone else in the league doing that? Right? It's not ideal by any stretch. And yeah, Nurse, I honestly think he's a better player when he's more physically engaged. That's an element of his game that's good. So play with a little snarl. And the fact of the matter is, you have to, because I got nobody else really who can do it. Kane's not in the lineup. Desharnais's not here. They don't have a lot of it. So he's going to need to do it. And I thought last night, get do a job on when you got to go into it. Right? Engage in some scrums. Good decision. Let's get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers. The Canada-wide clearance is on now at GMC. Get a $7,500 cash credit on 2024 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Elevation. See more at gmcoffers.ca.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
We've got 4 games on the ice tonight in the NHL. The Ducks hosting Utah. Bruins take on the Avalanche. Maple Leafs up against the Kings. And the Sabres head to Pittsburgh to take on the Penguins. The Penguins have assigned forward Rutger McGroarty to the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins of the AHL. The 20-year-old has played in 3 games this season, went pointless and a -1 rating. Major League Baseball today, we've got Game 3 of the NLCS as the Mets host the Dodgers. That gets going just after 6 o'clock. Series currently tied at 1 game apiece. Some tough news for the Denver Broncos. They'll be without cornerback Patrick Surtain. When they meet the New Orleans Saints on Thursday Night Football, he suffered a concussion in the first quarter of their game against the Chargers. That was on the first drive of the game. From the NBA, preseason action rolls on. You got the Cavaliers taking on the Pistons, Sixers host the Nets, Hawks battle the Heat, and the Bulls up against the Timberwolves. WNBA Finals Game 3 tonight. The Lynx host the Liberty. Tip-off 6 o'clock. That series tied at 1 game apiece. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by former NHLer Mike Commodore and the host of the basketball show, Paul Sir. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
This is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
You'll see us digging holes. No, we're not looking for buried treasure. You'll see us digging trenches as well. And no, we're not building a fort. We're GS Construction, and you'll see us in neighborhoods throughout the Edmonton area. So what are we doing? GS Construction provides rehabilitation and upgrade services to Edmonton and surrounding communities. Some of our underground utilities have served us for years and are past their useful lives. We replace them, so they're around for years to come. Find out more at gsconstruction.ca.
New Jizz Nuggets. This is New Jizz Nuggets, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. What nugget of heating and cooling advice does Nuge have today?
You can save a lot of money by bundling your new furnace and AC with Legacy. It's kind of like saving money on an endorsement by bundling me, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, with someone like, Zachary Martin Hyman.
Thanks for suggesting me, Nuge. Get no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new AC and furnace from Legacy Heating and Cooling. Proud sponsor of New Jizz Nuggets.
The Junior Prospects Hockey League is entering its 3rd season of gameplay. The JPHL now offers academic and athletic opportunities in the 14U, 15, 17, and 18U age divisions. All JPHL games are broadcast live on Silent Ice TV with a showcase-style game schedule and high level of travel and accommodations for its team, staff, and players. To learn more about why the JPHL is the fastest-growing elite hockey academy stream in Western Canada, visit juniorprospectshockeyleague.com.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is
On the Rocks.
Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks. On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
I take possession of my commercial space in 3 months. I need lighting. I need a fire alarm. I need data. I need a generator. I need panels.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Projects team reporting. We design, build, and construct all the electrical systems for your projects. Need everything to work right? Get the Action Electrical project team on your site.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta and actionelectrical.net.
Before every big interview, every big presentation, every big moment, I've always looked in the mirror and put on my game face. But lately, my eyes look tired, my brow looks old, and I'm starting to think it's game over.
Stop thinking and start seeing me, Dr. Vance Elliott, for skin refreshing treatments designed to give you a fresh and natural appearance.
He didn't make me look weird. No, he gave me back my game face.
Book your consultation today at drvanceelliott.com.
At Fountain Tire, we love jingles. Get up to 25% off select tires.
Until October 19th.
Plus a bonus $50 off any service of $150.
Restrictions apply.
Book online today. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just after 3 o'clock. How are you? Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook, is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in the game tonight. Of course, some MLB action. The Dodgers on the road. Mets almost a pick'em game, really. So, although they have, what is it? Yeah, it's pretty even odds. Same. We'll see. If the Dodgers, if the Mets can get Ohtani to the plate with nobody on base, their odds are really good. All of a sudden, you get some runners on base, and that guy becomes an absolute machine. He's just like, there's no one on base. Man, I'm not taking it that serious. What? There's runners on base? Sign me up. That's how it's been for him in the postseason this year. 833-401-1440. Lots of text. The Oilers Nation is a lot calmer today. I can tell we got my Commodore coming up. Also, on the DFO Rundown podcast that I do with Frank Saravalli every Monday and Thursday, where we get your podcasts if you want to tune in. Frank had asked on the pod are we at a time where it's easiest time ever to score 30 goals, to be a 30-goal scorer? And so I kind of did some quick, on the spot research, and then of course couldn't let it go. So ended up doing a deep dive on 30 goals. Now here's a few things I uncovered, and the thing that surprised me really the most was and maybe I shouldn't be that surprised, but just the last 3 seasons, the massive increase in empty net goals in the National Hockey League. So in 2019, there was it's kind of been going up, I should say, really, since 2016 is when it jumped. Right, 2016 was the first time there had ever been 300 empty net goals in a season. The previous high was 292 in 2015. It jumped up to 268 in 16. And then in 2019, it was up to 408. 2022, 477. You know how many empty net goals there were and I'm talking, this of course not per team, this is the entire league. In the 1980s, there was the most, one year was 132, and that was in 1989. 1988, there was only 91 empty net goals the whole season, like 1 per team. Well, no, what am I saying? 1 per team, not like 4 per team over the course of a season. I was going to say like 1 per game out of an 82-game season per team. It's nuts. 91 of them. That's it. So it just now, for a few reasons. A, they never would pull goalies until like the last minute, so your odds of getting it were way lower. Now they'll pull, they look at the numbers and everything, and it makes sense why they do it. But so that helps a little bit for some guys to become a, quote, 30-goal scorer. And if you look at it, because in 2022, there was 51 players who scored 30 goals or more. 12 of them wouldn't have got there if it wasn't for empty net goals. So now they're down to 39. Then you go and you look at the seasons, like the most 30-goal scorers ever in one season in the NHL was 1982. You had 75 players had 30 goals that year. all of them would have scored 30 without empty netters. They had a combined 48 empty net goals between all of them. All those 75, and those are some, like the top scorers in your game out of 75, so not even one per player. You go to the last few years in the NHL, and in 2022, there was 148 empty net goals from those 51 players, almost 3 per player. Right? So just a significant difference in opportunity, but also you used to put Steve Casper, Craig McTavish, you would put out your defensive guys when you were protecting a 1-goal lead. And I get the theory behind it, but now a lot of times you have your top end guys, A, they get paid more money, so you want them in every situation, but B, they get the puck, they probably have a better chance to score. Right? So it's part and parcel of it. And so that's one thing I uncovered. But so here's the most ever was 75 30-goal scorers in 1982. In 1993, there was 67. Now, 1993 was a little bit of an outlier year. That was when you had 14 50-goal scorers. The most in NHL history. Now, at first, I was like, well, that's because there was 84 games. Well, there was 84 the next year, and they didn't get close to it. They only had 8. And out of those 14 guys who scored 50 goals, only one, Jeremy Roenick, scored his 50th goal in either game 83 or game 84. So it was kind of an odd year. I think it had to do with the fact that the NHL had went from 21 teams to 24 in a span of 2 years. You added in Tampa Bay and Ottawa for that 92-93 season, and those teams were brutal. And I think your best players kind of were able to feast on them a little bit because they gave up a ton of goals. So, and then 1984, those are the 3 years you only ever had 60 30-goal scorers or more. 84, 82, and 93. The next highest was 57 and 86, but there was 54 in 2023. So, now, and here's where it's unique for me. So, in the year that there was 57 of them in 1986, that's when there was an average of 7.94 goals per game, total goals in the game. So basically almost 8. In the 2023 season, there was 6.36. So you're talking 1.6 more goals per game. Now that's combined, right, between the two teams, but still just more opportunity for goals. Yet you only had 3 more 30-goal scorers then than you do now. I think empty nets had a factor in it now because a lot of your top end guys are getting more time to get an empty net here or there. But also I think if I look at the minutes played, I wonder if the top teams now, they play their top guys more. So there's a closer number of guys scoring 30 goals, even though there's fewer goals in the league. Does that make sense to anyone? It's a little theory I had. And there's one other thing I uncovered while doing all this research. And it came up because last night, Alex Ovechkin became the 6th player in NHL history to have 700 goals and 700 assists. Wayne Gretzky's done it. Gordie Howe, Jaromir Jagr, Marcel Dion, Phil Esposito, Alex Ovechkin. Pretty good list. And when people talk about the greatest goal scorers, whose name usually comes up? Alex Ovechkin, Brett Hull, Mike Bossy. Right? Those are some people who call the greatest goal scorers. So as I was researching this, I came across, the Edmonton Oilers in the 80s and why they were deemed, I think, the greatest team ever. But if you look at a 5-year span from 82 to 86, now, you can expand it even more, and it doesn't change much. But from those 5 years, because I hear a lot of people, well, the 80s were so high scoring, and they were. But the Edmonton Oilers made it even more high scoring, because in those 5 years, they played 80 games a season that year. It's 400 games. The Oilers scored 2,114 goals. That was 400. Well, it's actually 398. But averages out over 400, it's still a goal game. It was 398 more goals than the second highest team, the New York Rangers. So Edmonton averaged 1 full goal a game more themselves than every other team in the league. And if you look at it, Edmonton, they averaged that year 5.29 goals per game, which is a full 1 goal more than the second highest scoring team. But if you look at the average of team number 2 to team number 21, they averaged 68 goals per game. The Oilers were 5.29. They were they were the driver of the offensive explosion in the NHL. And I think sometimes it gets overlooked. And what gets overlooked even more was how dominant Gretzky was. So Mike Bossy, everybody's like, oh, one of the greatest goal scorers ever, right? He had scored 50 goals 9 consecutive seasons in a row, which is true. But in the heat of those 9 years, he had a 5-year, well, he scored 50 every year, but you had a stretch from 82 to 86 where he scored 51, 58, 60, 61, 64. Pretty good, right? He had 294 goals in those 5 seasons. Gretzky had 81 more than Mike Bossy. Exact same years, exact same competition, 81 more goals. That's an average of 16 more goals every year. And Bossy scored 58, 60, 61, 64. And no one ever talks about Gretzky's the greatest goal scorer. What the hell is going on? Wayne Gretzky in those 5 years averaged 2.63 points a game. Mike Bossy was second in the NHL at 1.63. The Edmonton Oilers scored 400 more goals than everybody else in those 5 years. And it's basically due to Gretzky. Because Wayne Gretzky had 415 more points than Mike Bossy. Basically, all those extra 400 goals were due to Gretzky's greatness. And I think it gets overlooked, especially by the younger generation. And I get it, but you got to respect what he's done. My son, at a young age, we're always looking, he's gotten the age now, he likes looking up records and statistical stuff. And then he's always, Dad, how did Gretzky get so many? And like, he goes, how's it even possible? You know, because the other day we were talking about McDavid's going to get to 1,000 points. He'll be the third fastest. And he's like, oh my goodness, third fastest. So I show him how to do it. And he goes and looks it up and he finds it. And he's like, wow, Dad, yeah, he's going to be third after Gretzky. And I said, well, you know what Gretzky did in 424 games? He's like, yeah. And then Lemieux was 515 and Bossy was 656. And I don't know if McDavid's going to beat him. He's going to need 14 points. He can do it. He'll need 14 points in his next 7 games. So it's very possible it's McDavid. He could do it, but it's harder now after only having 4 points in the first 4 games. But then I told my son, I said, did you know that Gretzky from point 1001 to 2000, he needed 433, which is second fastest. His first 2,000 points, he did it in 857 games. Like, McDavid could get to 2,000 at the end of his career. In close to what? 1,600 games? So sometimes I think it gets overlooked. Why? I don't understand it. Gretzky's got the most goals. Now, Ovi's probably going to beat him. But I think it's because Gretzky didn't have like the patented one-timer. But he was a high-volume shooter. When Gretzky led the NHL, he led for the whole decade, but just those 5 years specific, where the Oilers were at their peak of offense, and Gretzky was absolutely shredded. He had more assists than anybody even had points for that 5-year span. Just in a 5-year span, that's how much more dominant he was. Imagine you score 1,038 points, and the next guy's at 623. You're that much better than the next best guy. Who are Hall of Famers? Mike Bossy, Peter Stastny, Paul Coffey, Yari Curry, Denny Savard, Marcel Dion, Dale Hawerchuk, Michel Goulet, Glenn Anderson. They're all Hall of Famers. Those are the top 10 guys in those 5 years. And Gretzky had between 415 more points than second place, and then 547 more points than 10th place. Like, it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And so when they look at the 80s, I think you always have to take into account that the Oilers skew those numbers even higher than what they were. Because if you take out the Oilers and you compare the rest of the league, the goals drop down fairly substantial considering you're only taking out 1 of 21. And it's still dropping that much. So if you want to check it out, you can go to OilersNation.com. Do I think scoring 30 goals is easier now? It's a good question. I would say empty nets, in theory, make it a little bit easier than before. But the 80s still was there. 1990s, there was 55 guys with 30 goals or more. There was 54 in 2023. So probably since the mid-90s. Now offense is up, and I hope it stays up. It did go down a little bit last year. I'm hoping that was just a glitch. I hope we get it back up. I would love to see the NHL at 6.5 goals per game on average. Because I always laugh at people when we don't need 6.5 games. No one's asking for that. Right now, the NHL averages 6.3 goals per game. Per game. So that's that per team. It's not even a 4-3 score. It's close, but it's not. I'd like to get to 650. That hasn't happened since 1994. And I was 648. So even got to go back further than that. So just some food for thought. When we come back, Mike Commodore will join us on the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Raise a smoothie to any friend you've had since 1999. That's a good friend. And Booster Juice was there, now celebrating 25 years in Canada and more than 450 locations from coast to coast. A silver anniversary splashed with lots of oranges. Celebrate 25 years of Booster Juice with the return of OG favorite smoothies like the original, the Orangesicle, and the Marathon. With cranberries, bananas, strawberries, orange sorbet, and probiotic yogurt. Happy 25th Booster Juice. Download the Booster Rewards app today.
Carve out for a cause at the 6th annual Jason Gregor Pizza Takeout presented by Swift. Thursday, October 24th at the Canadian Ice House. Indulge in unlimited pizza while raising some dough for Kids Sport. Vote for your favorite slice to crown the People's Choice Awards winners. Don't miss Edmonton's biggest pizza party with Gregor broadcasting live. Tickets are $60 or $200 for a group of 4. Adults only. Buy your tickets today. For more details, see jasongregorpizzapigout.com.
Get ready to revolutionize your job site with Edmonton Kubota's game-changing compact construction equipment. From mini excavators and skid steers to track loaders, carriers, and utility vehicles, they have a model to fit every need, all powered by legendary Kubota diesel engines. These machines are built for performance and reliability. Transform your work with Edmonton Kubota's top-of-the-line compact equipment. Visit them today and see why they're the name you can trust for power and precision.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Centre. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Centre's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit EdmontonExpoCenter.com today.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. This is one big deal for one big pizza. You can get an extra large New York style one topping pizza for only $17.99. Order today at papajohns.ca.
Tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
24. Welcome back, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you on Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, and Facebook, as always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Get in the game tonight. It's also Lotto 649, the classic. Been around for a long time. Get your tickets. Good luck in the draw this evening for 15 mil. PlayAlberta.ca. As it's time for our big guest of the day, brought to you by Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment. They've expanded. They have the new JPHL Academy style approach for U14, U15, and U18. They've had it for a few years. It focuses on skill development and education. You can learn more at juniorprospectshockeyleague.com. As we are joined by Stanley Cup winner, former NHLer, Mike Commodore joins us. Commie, how you doing?
What's going on? How you doing, Jason? Good to see you. Everything's good. How's the blood pressure for everybody there in Edmonton? It was a little. It looked a little, from what I saw on TV, it looked a little high in the building during the first and second periods last night.
Oh, I can tell you there was a few people at the beer line that the sphincter was a little tighter than normal. So no doubt about that.
Yeah, I could get that through the TV screen. It's well, they got off Schneid, so they got a win now. So. Well,
I'm not sure many people had Troy Stetcher and Corey Perry turning the season around with back-to-back tilts. You just don't see that very often in today's NHL.
No, you definitely don't. And those are two. I mean, I know that they both play hard, but yeah, I mean, Corey's he's got to be getting close to 40, isn't he?
Oh yeah.
So good for him. And Troy's not the biggest guy in the world, but hey, I tell you, I mean. Perry took a couple of some undisciplined penalties in those first couple periods. Like not just him, Draisaitl too. And anyways, things weren't. It didn't look good there in the first and second period, but they hopefully figured it out.
Have you ever? You must have played on a team, Mike, where your coach at one point, had to bench a superstar guy, because it's not that easy to do, right? Like, and especially maybe even now more in all sports, the superstars, they have so much money. We saw Aaron Rodgers in the NFL. If they want to get a coach fired, they can kind of get a coach fired. And so Draisaitl, now he took an undisciplined penalty against Calgary late in the second period, almost identical, away from the play, unnecessary, and did it again. They killed it off. But then the coach sat him down. Now, not for a long time, but you're a superstar guy and you go through 4 lines and you're not there twice. That probably feels like an eternity, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever have that? And have you seen it go both ways? Maybe the guy pouts more, gets really mad at the coach, or the rest of the team's like, okay, this is like we're on guard now.
Yeah, I think I can't remember who it was. It might have been Eric Stahl. I remember we kind of went through a similar thing, after we played in 2006, played against the Oilers. And then I think we came out west, and I think we opened up the year like it was 0-5 or like maybe 0-4-1. It wasn't good. And then we went back home. And I think Lavi kind of benched for longer, like not healthy scratch, but benched or sat some guys down for part of a period. And I remember, I wasn't, I never really paid attention a whole lot to what was going on the forward end of things. And it's not like we had any superstars on the back end in Carolina. So I wasn't really paying attention, but I do remember it got the guys fired up a little bit. And yeah, you're right. It can go both ways, but, I would think with, the coach Knobloch there, he should have a pretty good, I know there's some new guys there, but as far as like, he knows what he's got in the guys that are coming back. And I would think, I don't know Leon Draisaitl, but to me, he seems like the kind of guy that, when things aren't going well, you get benched a little bit. Like you said, it goes through the rotation. He's not out there. That's going to feel very different for him. I could see how that would piss him off, and he's not going to sit there and pout. So I would say that was a really good move and a pretty safe one that way.
Yeah. Mike Commodore joins us. Edmonton gets the win. It's only one, but you played on teams, man. You win one game and all of a sudden the temperature just comes down and all, because their star players have not been very good through the first 3 games and 50 minutes up until they scored those 2 goals in the last 5 minutes in overtime. McDavid and Draisaitl and Bouchard, like, man, they were hammering the puck around like number 6 defenseman more than top line guy.
You know what I thought I'd never see? And I almost posted it on Twitter, but I'm like, if it goes on obviously it's not going to, but before this last game, I did that green jacket thing
Yeah.
I should have posted it. So I just randomly, it's like 2 games, right? Some teams have played 3, 4, whatever. It's the beginning of the season, and I fully realize, but I was this close to firing out a tweet because Connor McDavid was -5 leading the league, and I should have sent it. I saw it and died laughing because he's going to end up, I was going to say something like, if this guy's going for the green, historically all he does is make bogeys, but maybe he's going after the green jacket this year. So, I mean, you're probably never going to see that again. I should have posted it, but obviously things haven't started great for them. But then you look, I mean, those are probably the last 2 guys. Well, they are the last 2 guys you're worried about. I mean, Bouchard a little bit. I will say with Bouchard, and I know he played great in the playoffs, and I know Edmontonians love him and everything, and I didn't see the third period last night. I just caught the highlights this morning. The one thing with Bouchard is like in those first 2 periods, and I'm assuming he was kind of playing like that for the up until maybe the third period, he can get awful casual out there. Very casual, where I'm like, and I know he's, due for a raise. And like I said, I want to see players make money, but I'm still of the mind where it's like, if you're going to pay somebody $11 million, it better be somewhere that plays like Chris Pronger or Scott Niedermayer. But maybe that's a little unfair because there's not a whole lot of those around. But for me, I'm not worried about McDavid or Draisaitl. And I know Bouchard's going to be excellent on the power play and moving the puck. Like, I get that. But defensively and just kind of overall, he can get casual.
Oh, yeah. Well, trust me, he is. Yeah, I see it from Oilers fans all the time. They obviously, how he played. The thing is, the last 2 years, what's benefited Bouchard is he's shown the ability to elevate his game when it matters most. And that's a skill, right? And so, and it's funny because guys, their salary ends at the end of the regular season, but you can really earn a good salary in the playoffs, right? And so it's kind of fun. Some guys get a lot of money, like Toronto's guys. They get all this money in the regular season, and they barely piss a drop in the playoffs. If you look at their production compared to the regular season, guys like McKinnon and Rantanen and Draisaitl and the guys who are winning, their production's up or maintaining. And in Toronto, across the board, it's all lower. And so Bouchard, I think he's one where if I'm him, I probably wait, because like, hey, you know what? I'm going to get paid. Now, it might be 9, it might be 10. He's going to get a big paycheck. It's going to be massive.
He is,
or whatever it's going to be. But you're not the only one, Mike. There are some people that are like, and I know some have said, hey, what would Bouchard, how is he going to look without Matthias Ekholm? Because you play D, Mike. Like, when you've got such a good, reliable partner, it probably makes, like, even if you're a guy who's a defensive guy, you're just like, holy cow, I'm playing with Bob over here. Like, you're playing with Pronger, and all of a sudden you're like, I feel like I'm a lot better player.
Right. Yeah. All of a sudden I'm putting up a couple points. Yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah. And it's true. Like, you'd have to, you can't put him with another, you got to put him with somebody who's, responsible and works their ass off, definitely in the D zone for sure. And, he is he's obviously a high skill guy, and those guys you're allowed to take some chances and whatnot. But yeah, you're right. You put him with the wrong guy, and there could be, like I said, he just and I know he scored last night, but I tell you, when I was watching the first and second, and he, just kind of shoot it into some shin pads, and then guys blowing around him and kind of pushing him out of the way. And I was just like, oh, I almost tweeted it, but I was another tweet, but I'm like, I'm trying to, it's a couple games into the year, so no need to smash the panic button yet. But I almost fired out the old casual Evan Bouchard's back, but I sat that one out. I should have done the McDavid one. I'm glad I didn't say anything about Bouchard. He ended up scoring in the third. So, but yeah, it'll be interesting. Like I said, he's high skill, but the heart rate maybe is a little too low at some point. Sometimes, I should say.
Yeah, that's fair. Mike Commodore joins us. When he's on, though, as he showed in the playoffs, he can be on. He can be great because he was competitive. Yep. His pocket light was on high all throughout the playoffs, which is key. Now, the Calgary Flames, it's only 4 games. A lot of people in Calgary were they're expecting their team. They're like, hey, we're in a rebuild. We're fine with the rebuild. We want a top 3 pick. We've never had a top 3 pick. This will be great. And now they win 4 games. Everyone's like, hey, man, we can make the playoffs, right? They're 4-0, and it's looking good. They beat Edmonton, and they beat Vancouver, so 2 of their biggest rivals. So I'm sure that gets them going. They work hard. There's no doubt about that. And they've, to me, when I've watched 2 of their 4 games, And I've noticed a big difference in them limiting chances off the rush significantly, right? So Husk is obviously kind of drilled down on that. But when you look at the Flames, are they going to screw themselves? Because I'm still not a believer that they're a playoff team, that they're going to end up, 9th or 10th, Mike. And so in a year where they should have got a top pick, they're not going to get a top pick. Like, I know it sounds bad to say, but you'd rather suck if you're in a rebuild than be good enough to finish 18th to 25th.
Yeah, no. I mean, if you're going to be bad, be real bad, 100%,
Yeah.
and be bad for a couple years in a row and get one of those top couple picks, whatever. I totally agree. The Flames are awful at that. And I chuckled, they're 4-0, and I'm like, oh boy, just cruising right towards that 13th pick. But like, I'm not sure what you really do, because it's, I think Craig Conroy's done a great job of getting some guys out and getting some new pieces in. But at the same time, like everybody that, it's like this for every team. It's like, look, if I'm sitting there playing the Calgary Flames, I'm like, look, everybody thinks I'm trash or I borderline shouldn't be in this league. Like, I'm going to work. I'm working for my job, and so is everybody else in the room pretty much. Like, you still got some guys on some big contracts there, but most of that roster is like, hey, like, this is a big chance for me. Or either they're in the NHL or they're getting more opportunity. They've been in the NHL, but now they're getting more minutes and more opportunities. So, yeah, I mean, it is just kind of funny. It's just the beginning of the year for sure. But yeah, the Flames sitting at 4-0. I don't think too many people had that on their card.
Oh God, no! And Jonathan
Probably
Huberdeau,
0.
Yeah, Jonathan Huberdeau's looking like the player that they paid 10 sheets for.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I guess
it's early.
It is early. And look, I like him. He seems like a good guy. I don't know him great. It's been a tough go for him in Calgary. So, I mean, I actually wouldn't mind seeing him have a decent year, because he can be having no fun in Calgary. But like you said, years early.
Mike, how concerned would you be if you were a Colorado Avalanche fan? Your goaltending subpar. You got some key injuries. And with those injuries, you might have the worst depth forward group in the NHL right now. You look at their lines 2 to line 4, dude, and it's real slim pickings there. How concerned are you about the Avs?
Yeah, the goaltending thing for me, for sure, would be the one that kind of drops out. But yeah, you're right. I haven't seen, now, in full disclosure, I haven't seen them play yet. Are they playing today? I think they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can catch a game tonight. So I need to watch them. But yeah, there's another team. Like you said, like these guys, they got some high, obviously your Cale Makars, your McKinnons, your Rantanens, like your top end guys. But like I said, this isn't basketball. It's a legitimate team sport. So yeah, I mean, I would imagine Joe Sakic's a little concerned sitting there, but you give it a few more games. But the goaltending thing is the goaltending can, it can make up for a lot of mistakes in a good way, and it can make things go the other way too. And obviously, it's the most important position on the ice.
The one guy who got paid big money, and there were, we talked about Bouchard, and there's always the concern when you give a guy a big contract at huge money. And I know it's super early. I always like to preface that, but still, there's a guy in Vancouver that people have kind of been saying, hey, like, you're making 11 and a half sheets now. We need more from you. And it's been a rather pedestrian start for Elias Pettersson in Vancouver. And you know what? He's kind of like on 1 year, then kind of off year, then he gets back. And, like 89 points in 82 games is okay, but not at $11.5 million, I don't think it is. And, he's a minus player early. He's only got 1 point in 3 games and hasn't really been dangerous. Where do you come out on him? Do you think like this is a guy who still is untapped potential, or is maybe the 102-point season his ceiling?
I'm going to take it a little bit of a different way with him. I think to touch on what we were talking about with Bouchard earlier on how, during the playoffs last year, he turned it up, or when it really matters, he competes. That Pettersson, to me, like last playoffs, and like he did not. That would be the most concerning thing for me. I think he's going to put up some points. As far as how many, I'm not sure, but I think he can be like a pretty good regular season. 11.5 million, I don't know, but he can. At the end of the day, you need somebody to score. You got to get to the playoffs. But for me, the most concerning thing, and I don't know the guy at all, but some of the interviews he gave too during the play. I mean, they were this guy should be like and having the time of his life. Like, they went on a nice little run there last year, unexpected. Yep. And it did not look like that guy was having any fun whatsoever. And it didn't look like he really wanted any part of the action on the ice. So if I was a Canucks fan, that would be the most like concerning thing for me is like, okay, we're paying this guy a lot. He's around. He's supposed to be driving our team, or at least part of that. And I didn't see that last year.
I want to ask about your former organization where you won the Stanley Cup. So I'm sure you got a soft spot for Carolina. You probably still watch a little bit.
I do.
Yeah, as you should. Yeah. How could you not, right? You win a cup there. It's always going to be deep embedded in you. And I've looked at the Hurricanes for the last few years, and man, like they're a really good regular season team, but they don't have a superstar. And now they just lost 2 of their top 4 defensemen. And I know Rod the Bod, like everybody there, they're like, they play their system to a T and it's boom, boom, boom all the time, but it hasn't led to any real playoff success. They had the 2 years of the conference finals and now they haven't even got to there. What do you make of that team this year? And like, do they eventually got to make like a major deal here, like a 2-for-1 or 3-for-1 to try to get a superstar? Because otherwise they just kind of spin their wheels and being a really good team. But I think they're actually like a step below the cup contender that they were last year.
Yeah, I would agree. Coming into the season, I think, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know all their prospects. I will say, and now his dad's my buddy, but somebody that's getting not much press, but now he's going to have to work. It's not an automatic he stays there, but a young kid that's there, Jackson Blake.
Yeah,
so he scored last night, made the team out of camp. He separated a 4th-round pick, but Hobie Baker finalist. His dad was Jason Blake, who played forever in the NHL. I played with him in college, but a good player. But to touch on, the offseason for Carolina wasn't great. I thought last year, I thought they played pretty good in the playoffs, but I thought the goaltend, I'm not going to hump everything on one person, but I didn't think Anderson was very good. There was 2 or 3 goals going in from below the goal line, which, look, I understand that stuff happens, but it can't be happening in the playoffs maybe once and that's it. But yeah, I would say Rod's in a way got, work cut out for him. I do agree they could probably, if they could get a superstar, but that's easier said than done. It's still, I think, Carolina. I mean, I'm partial to Carolina. I love Carolina. It was a great time for me. We were really good when I was there, but it's still to get guys to sign there it's not the easiest place to get guys to come still. So yeah, free agency and stuff for them can be a little bit of I don't know what the word is, a little bit of a challenge. But yeah, I do agree with you where, coming into this year, I would say they don't look as good on paper as they did last. I mean, they had some big losses.
Oh God. Yeah. And it's hard, right? Hey, I get the salary cap and you move guys in and out and, you've had that consistency, but it just shows how hard it is to win. We can look at, and if you don't have a great player, God, I think it's even harder to people. Eric Stahl was a great player when you guys won. He had 100 points. He was a dominant player. You need one of those guys to win a cup. And I like Sebastian Aho, right? I like Jacob Slavin, but they're not that guy. So I want to have
some good players. Yeah, Jarvis is good. There's some good players for sure, but you're right. There is a star. There's no Connor McDavid. I mean, there's only one of those, but there's not anybody around there.
No, the Rangers. Now they got Adam Fox. They got Shesterkin. They got Panarin. They got some really good players. There's all the talk about Shesterkin and what he's going to want. And, maybe he's wanting 11 mil and all that stuff. If you're the Rangers and you're Chris Drury, is this a year you're like, hey, we got to go for it. And maybe I'm going to take a bigger swing than normal because if I got to pay my goalie that much, or if I choose not to, and I'm going to let him walk, then our window might close a little bit starting next season.
Well, and he'd be unrestricted at the end of the year, right? He must be. He's been around for yes. So that's a major problem. Yeah, I mean, the Rangers took a big swing at it a couple of years ago. I don't think Drury was GM at the time, but maybe he was when went after Kane and stuff. They took a decent swing at it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, you're sitting there if what's reported is true, where the 11 million being the highest paid goalie ever isn't enough for Igor. That could be a major problem. What are you going to do? 12, 13? I mean, you're the best player. You're in the most important position, but. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't see enough Ranger games, to be honest, to have a real good grasp on it. I know they were really good last year and kind of exceeded expectations. I'm not sure. I mean, I would think it's kind of cup or bust, but yeah, I mean, that's a tough. It can't be a good feeling sitting there having your best player saying no to a record contract with unrestricted free agency in the summer. That's for sure.
No, it's never ideal.
No.
One last one for you, Commie. When you look, and you studied the early season games. You went and you played a long time in the league. Is like the regular season, the first 2 weeks, because I talked to Keith Jones in the press box last night from the Flyers, and he was kind of like, "Oh, geez, it's pretty sloppy out there." When is it not until November? Like, I know there's preseason games, but my God, the preseason might be like 20% effort for some guys right now. It's like, let's just get through. Is it really, you don't know what you have until November? But in some cases, now I know the Oilers are the exception, but sometimes like you can screw yourself out of a playoff spot by having a real bad month. How did you balance that? And did you notice a significant, or is it just like, okay, we're at 40% now, middle of October, maybe we're at 70%. Then you get to the end of the month and now everybody's kind of clicking. How does it go after being in the league for 10 years? Like, is there a decent kind of time when you would know, okay, the league's better now?
I mean, I think everything got a little crisper, ballpark, like American Thanksgiving. So like kind of the third week of November, like ish around there. And I think that's kind of like, at least when I've had some guys that are in management stuff, that's kind of the date where they look. Now, the Oilers last year were the exception. I mean, they did not look good there for a long time, and they ended up taking it a goal from taking it to overtime in Game 7. So they're kind of the outlier a little bit. But, I would say, like, it's going to be sloppy for a little bit. And, like, even with the Oilers, like, I'm watching that game last night, and, all the big pieces are back from last year. But there's Ray Ferraro brought up a really good point on the broadcast where, there are a significant amount of new players there, and you guys lost maybe a little bit of speed. And so there's a little getting used to for everybody, which is going to take a little bit of time. And like you said, preseason is preseason. And it's very important for some guys, but not so important for the guys that are in pen on your team. Like, just get through it and don't get hurt. So this is kind of where now we start going. Now it's for real. So, but I want to say, I actually think Ken Holland told me this. He said kind of the date that he kind of starts looking at it. Now, obviously he was there last year, and let's throw last year out, but was like American Thanksgiving. Once you get to that, you should start thinking, okay, this is maybe who we are.
Yeah.
But I know Ken Holland, he told me this last year. We do a bunch of little golf things. But last year when he came here in Arizona, we did a little thing at the end of January. And I remember him telling me that when the Oilers were on that, not playing well and losing a bunch of games, and that catastrophe, a game against Calgary outside, like that was the worst game I think I've ever seen. Ken told me he was fired up because he's like, we have too much skill here, so it's got to turn around. And we're hitting rock bottom now. These guys are going to be pissed and know how to long story short, he was actually pumped when it wasn't going well. I'm sure there were maybe some moments where he was like, good God, but it all worked out.
Yeah, well, that definitely did. You've got to be around that long, you can see it. And when you've got a great team and the guys, they know they're good, unless you run into a string of injuries, usually they should figure it out. Now, the coaching change helped because Chris Knobloch did some things. He took his star players off the penalty kill, and I think he incorporated guys to make him feel more of the team. And I think that's worked. I think even last year when he benched Evander Kane for a game, like he's come in as a rookie head coach and kind of shown some pretty big gonads to not be afraid to do some things. And to me, from a player perspective, they got to respect him because he's done that, right? Like it's easy to bench your fourth line guys and your third pair defenseman. Like, that's not hard. That's
I can come in and do that. Yeah, that's easy. I thought he did a great job last year. And speaking of Kane, fill me in. What is going on with him? Is he done for the year, or is that to be determined?
Well,
or does anybody really know?
They said initially, because I see Evander Kane, now I know walking is very different than playing in the NHL. So I just want to clarify that. It's very different. Sure. So, I see Evander, he's at the games, he's walking around. But walking and then running or skating are two very different things. But yeah, he had multiple hernia surgeries. He had both of his abductors repaired. And some other ab muscle or something. Like, he had a lot.
All core stuff, basically.
Yeah, all core. So they said it was 5 to 6 months, and that was September 30th. So if you go off of that, you're talking end of February, end of March. So if it's end of March, now, here's the interesting thing that I wonder if the Oilers can do it. In the CBA, when you have a guy on LTIR for that long, you can put him on because usually if you're on a conditioning stint, you count on the roster. But when you come off of LTIR, you can go on a conditioning stint for the 3 games, and you don't count on the roster. But then you can ask for an extension because you've been out so long. So in theory, they could put him in the minors and he could play 6 games down there on, let's say, April 5th until April 15th. And then the season ends and then he could come up and play in the playoffs. And it would all be above board.
Yeah. Hey, why not? I mean, Vegas has kind of been not cheating the system. Hey, you're not cheating if you're that's part of the deal. So if you can do it, why not? Hey, looked at it, say what you will, or some people don't like Evander Kane. When that guy's on and moving, that guy's pretty good. And he can be a game changer. And he brings Darnell Nurse is pretty tough, don't get me wrong, but Evander Kane is tough and he can be mean, which the Oilers I don't think have a ton of. And that's still important.
Yeah. Kami, you're speaking my mind. I wholeheartedly agree with you. They need a little bit more jam in their lineup, and losing him and Desharnais, that was a lot. So they got to find a way to get that back. Always good to talk to you, man. Enjoy Arizona. How many rounds of golf you got going right now?
Oh, he's laying at my feet right now. But I got an Irish doodle named Henry. He's really taking a chunk out of my golf game. But I was actually just at the University of North Dakota last weekend for a game, the Hall of Fame game. And actually brought my golf clubs and played a couple rounds and actually played pretty good. So I'm playing again tomorrow, so we'll see if it keeps going.
Oh, there you go, buddy. Keep it on the fairway. We'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, that'd be nice. All right, sounds good. Thanks for having me.
I bet you. There's Mike Commodore. Pretty good insight. Like what he said, man. And trust me, his analysis of the Oilers game last night was pretty big bang on. You're probably a little stressed. It's 2-0, then it's 2-2, and then you're like, oh, God, an own goal. And then it's undisciplined penalty. They're going to score in the power play, but they didn't. But it took until the final 5 minutes to tie the game and then went in overtime. That was our big guest of the day, brought to you by the Junior Prospects Hockey League.com. Quick break. We'll come back with the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Are you watching the interest rates these days? Of course you are. Paying less interest leaves money in your pocket. That's why St. Albert Dodge is happy to tell you that right now they have 0% financing on virtually all new 2024 models. Hundreds to choose from: Jeep Compass, Wrangler, Grand Cherokee, and Wagoneer, Dodge Durango, and Hornet, Ram 1500, 2500, 3500, all with 0% financing. Why pay interest? Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's Aquasential reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade: safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
You've probably heard the term supply and demand. Something is needed and someone supplies it. We're GS Construction, and we're in the supply and demand business with you. Edmonton and the surrounding area continue to grow. Infrastructure has to be continually replaced and upgraded to keep up with demand. You see it with new buildings and new roads, but what about below ground, where all sorts of pipes bring you water and take wastewater away? That's where we come in. For more on what we do, go to gsconstruction.ca.
Day or night, tasting just so right. You can order oodle noodle at oodlenoodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order oodle noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. So stay on your couch all day and order oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle noodle.
Often when I meet people at a party or I'm hanging out at my favorite restaurants, I'll introduce myself and they'll say, "Oh, you're Grant Fedoruk from Leading Edge Physio. What can I do about this sore knee? It's been bugging me for months." First, I was thinking, when I'm out like this, I should just tweet my location so people know where to come for a consultation. But then I thought, I'm spending all this money on advertising Leading Edge. Maybe you could come by one of our clinics. That's where we have the technology and really smart physiotherapists who can give you all the advice and treatment you need. Have your people call my people. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Can-Torque. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantorque.com.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
354, welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley with you. Let's get to the basketball report brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home with no payments, no interest for 1 year on your AC unit. Stay cool all summer and warm in the winter. You can bundle them up both and save even more. Furnace, AC, Legacy. So we welcome in from the basketball show, Paul Sir. They're getting ready to start up another season. Paul, when's the basketball show returning on Sports 1440?
We're going to start a bit later than I originally thought we would, but we're going to get going again on November 19th, Jason.
All right. So you'll have a little time. Basically, you're waiting until there's 10 games, 5 games into the season. You'll have a better sense of what's happening. So when you look at the Raptors roster, like, I'm hard pressed to see how they're a top 10 team in the East. Give me a reason why they can be a top 10 team in the East.
Okay. You're really going to make me work for this one.
I think we lost Paul. So there you go. We'll try to get him on the phone, Cons. So there you have it. Yeah, I'll be a little bit clearer. Because honestly, I look at the roster and I don't know. I know many of you follow the NBA. Some of you probably follow them closer than I do. I don't see it. I don't see it. So it's unfortunate. But in that league, and the Raptors, we finished talking about the Calgary Flames. And it's hard because you can never ask players not to compete, ever. You can't do it. But the Raptors might be better off to have, they probably need a few of their good guys to get banged up, and then they just plummet down the standings and then get a top 5, top 3 pick. That would be ideal for them, being realistic. So Paul Sir joins us. But Paul, they got 4 pretty good starters. None of them are superstars at all. But from what you've seen last year down the stretch, how could they be better?
Well, if we look at down the stretch when they had all the injuries, I would say the scenario you described, Jason, is 100% accurate. They're going to be terrible if that's what we're going to look at this year. But depends on Scotty Barnes' development. Grady Dick and Scotty had a real nice preseason game last night. The development of Grady Dick's going to be really critical to the growth of this team. Then, but I think the key to a successful Raptors season is how the coaching staff handles RJ Barrett and Quickly, along with Barnes, Dick. And if they can find some offensive chemistry between those 4, they stand a chance to be decent and competitive because they've got enough talent that they can compete with people. Scotty Barnes, I still think I don't want to call him overrated. I just think that people are overshooting about what kind of player he's going to evolve into.
Yes. He's
not going to be a 25, 8 and 7 guy. I just don't see that happening. He's more an 18, 7 and 5 guy to me. But that's good. I mean, that's a good player, but that's not a franchise player. Yeah. RJ really has to come into his own offensively this year. Quickly has to be healthy, and Grady Dick has to show us something that I think people feel is there and are just waiting for it to come out. So if that happens, they could be a decent team, slightly below 500. To me, at their best, if the Raptors have a great season without a ton of injuries, they're going to be 38 and 44. That kind of team. And that's a great season for them. I would be surprised if they reach that kind of level.
Okay. Looking at some of the changes in the offseason across the NBA, give me your thoughts about that Timberwolves trade.
Well, I personally like it.
Really?
Because the reason is I don't like Karl Anthony Towns that much.
Okay.
He never shows up in the playoffs ever. He can't guard outside. Now it worked well last year because of Gobert being behind him in the NBA. But the reason I like Randall coming over is he's a blue collar guy. And I think he could give them some toughness. And particularly when Gobert goes out, I think he could play like the small 5 position. And then they can build around him. They got some better shooting now as well. But like I said, I'm just not a Karl Anthony Towns guy. And he has never given me a reason to believe he's a guy that's going to lead your team to the promised land. And when it came time for him to deliver against Denver, he rarely did. And so for me, like for the Wolves, it was an experiment that worked well last year. But I think if they didn't make a change, I don't think they could repeat what they did last year with the lineup that they had. So they took a gamble. And you know what? The gamble worked last year. Maybe it'll work again this year. We'll see if lightning can strike twice.
Well, obviously, because I know some people said, hey, Karl Anthony Towns, they don't have a lot of success unless he gets someone else when he's the number 2. And last year, he was kind of their number 2 guy. And then, they became better. So they feel, and I wonder if him and Edwards, like Edwards is just a firecracker, right? And I wonder if Jimmy Butler necessarily didn't love Towns, that maybe at times his pilot light isn't on high as much as you would like, and so maybe there's some truth to that. He'll go to New York, and him and Brunson. It's interesting when you look at the fit for the Knicks. You like the trade for Minnesota. What about from a New York standpoint? How do you think it works?
I don't know, because he isn't a Nick in how he plays. He's not tough. He's not hard-nosed. He's not, somebody who really digs in and will win at all costs. And that really was, I think, the identifying characteristic of the Knicks last year. So for me, it would be a pleasant surprise if Towns goes into New York and Thibodeau can get him to play Knick basketball. But that's the big question. Is can they get him to do that? Because up to this point, he has not demonstrated that kind of toughness. And like you said, last year, he was the number 2, but one of the reasons he was the number 2 for the whole season is he was hurt a lot of the season too.
Mm-hmm.
So the Wolves had a lot of success without him, and they didn't get enough out of him when they needed a solid number 2 to step up against Denver. And plus, I just don't like his attitude. I don't like how cocky he is. And he hasn't done anything yet. And so I hope that Anthony Edwards with a blue collar guy like Edwards and then DiVincenzo being able to stretch the defense, I'm hoping that's a better combination for the T-Wolves. And we'll see what happens in New York, because that's one tough, hard-nosed team that he being Karl Anthony Towns is going to have to work hard to fit into.
Paul Sir joins us from the Basketball Show here on Sports 1440. The Warriors do anything for you, Paul? Are we like, Steph Curry, we saw him at the Olympics, and man, he can still show up when it matters, but their support system there is a shadow of what it was. Klay Thompson is now gone. He's been a shadow himself for the last few seasons. Are the Warriors destined for another, hope for 9th and 10th spot, or do you think they're better?
Right now, I'd say that's precisely where they probably will end up, in a very tough Western Conference. I don't see some things are going to happen that right now I don't see happening with the lineup and the blend of talent that they've got. The Warriors have lost something, and I don't know what that is exactly. I mean, when you had a guy like Klay Thompson who went through those horrible injuries, but really was, I think, in a combination of ways, his own attitude, but also the attitude of the team, that was a real crappy way to kind of end his tenure.
Yeah.
After all those championships in Golden State. I'm pulling for Thompson to be an impact, to have a better season, a solid season at his age with the mileage on that body, to have a solid injury-free season for Dallas this year. I think that would be great for Klay Thompson to have a bit of redemption. As it relates to the Warriors, I don't see it either. I'm like you, Jason. I just don't see where they have the combination of talent, as great as Curry still is, and as with his ability to show up for prime time, I just don't think they have the stable of talent around him, certainly not like they did in their golden years, that I think is going to propel them in the upper echelon of the Western Conference.
Is there a team that you feel is poised for a breakout year in either the East or the West?
Ooh, that's a good question. Is it Orlando? They seem to be a team that a lot of people like. How good will Miami be this year? Does Houston have any real gas in the tank? How good's Philadelphia going to be, especially with Embiid's issues? Like, that looks like another one of those shaky ships. In terms of breakthrough, I think the Celtics go into the season the clear favorite. I'm curious to see where Denver goes. this year. And I'm also curious to see what Dallas can do this year, because they had that run. They looked horrible when they got slapped in the playoffs and lost the way they did. But I think, can Dallas become better? Will Luka share the ball along with Kyrie a bit better? How are they going to use Clay? So nobody has made such moves, though, that I look at them and say, this team, other than the one I'm curious about is Orlando, because they built the right way. They built like Denver. By the draft they've been patient, and they've got some really good players. So I'm kind of hoping that a team like Orlando, that just has not been a factor or a force for a long, long time, can be one of those teams that at the end of the year has 50 to 55 wins and goes into the playoffs with people being a little scared.
Paul, great stuff. We look forward to just over a month's time for the return of the basketball show. We'll talk to you again soon. Have a great day.
Thanks, Jason. Take care.
There you go. That's Paul Sir from the basketball show. Returns in November on Sports 1440. Let's get to the con man. Sports 1440 update brought to you by Fountain Tire. Hey, guess what? It is harvest time, so up until November 1st, you can save up to $150 on Alliance tires and up to $200 on select Goodyear and Titan. Some restrictions apply. Find a dealer near you at fountaintire.com.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Pittsburgh Penguins have assigned forward Rutger McGroarty to the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins of the AHL. The 20-year-old appeared in 3 games this season with no points and a -1 rating. Those Penguins in action tonight, hosting the Sabres. Puck drop just after 5 o'clock at 5:30. Got the Kings in Toronto. At 7:30, the Avs host the Bruins. And at 8 o'clock, Utah heads to Anaheim, taking on the Ducks. Major League Baseball Game 3 of the NLCS goes at about 6:08 tonight. Mets hosting the Dodgers. The Mets and Dodgers tied at 1 apiece in the series. Tough news for the Denver Broncos. They'll be without cornerback Patrick Surtain when they meet the New Orleans Saints tomorrow night. He suffered a concussion the first drive against the Chargers on Sunday. WNBA final tonight, Game 3. Got the Lynx and the Liberty tip-off at 6. That series tied at a game apiece. In NBA preseason, Bulls, Timberwolves, Heat, Hawks, the Nets in Philly, and the Pistons taking on the Cavaliers. Coming up in Hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll ask 5 questions and be joined by Tyler Yaremchuk of Oilers Nation. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Something just worked together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients, better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. That's SPORTS20.
Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada. With sports and entertainment properties including the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. The Silent Ice Center, a new state-of-the-art entertainment facility, is open in Nisku, which features 2 sheets of ice, including a 1,600-seat arena and a restaurant with a viewing area.
Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more.
At Fountain Tire, we love jingles. Get up to 25% off select tires.
Until October 19th.
Plus a bonus $50 off any service of $150.
Restrictions apply.
Look online today. Fountain Tire. We're on this road together.
Oodle Noodle origins. In 1864, Francis Oodle took over his dying father's business as a leatherman. He was quite proficient, but his heart was never truly in the trade. After his father's death, Oodle met a cocksure young man named Vladimir Nudell, who was a trailblazer in the popular new art of food boxes. They formed a partnership and aimed to ply their trade in the new world. At Ellis Island, Nudell was renamed David Noodle, and henceforth, the franchise has been known as Oodle Noodle.
Hockey is back, And Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Need a truck? Want a great deal on a truck? Get into Wolf GMC Buick. It's GMC's Canada-wide clearance. Take advantage of 0% financing on Sierra half-tons. Oh, and guess what? GMC employee pricing is back on all in-stock 2024 Sierra HDs and Yukons. That means thousands of dollars in savings on GMC Sierra 3/4 ton and 1 ton. Also thousands off the industry-leading SUV, the GMC Yukon. Get to Wolf GMC Buick now and drive away with money off and a smile on. Just off the Anthony Henday.
At the end of the day, a job well done is something I can see and touch. At the end of the day, I'm proud to see the things I'm building in my community. At the end of the day, I cash my paycheck without worrying about student debt because I never had any. At the end of the day, I wouldn't trade a career in the trades for anything.
Get more with a career in the trades. Explore careers at alberta.ca/trades.
For 11, welcome back. Wednesday afternoon on Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook and X. Thanks as always for watching. The Gregor Show is presented by playalberta.ca. And did you know it's back, baby? Use the promo code Gregor50 and you will get a free $50 play when you sign up. Does it your existing player, new one? You get one in the month of October. Use it right now. Gregor50 at playalberta.ca. Very simple. Good luck. Use it wisely. Use it wisely. The Oilers are currently in the air, getting their way to Nashville. Their flight was supposed to leave around 1 today, so it's a 4-hour flight. They'll arrive in Nashville at 5 o'clock our time, so they're probably about 50 minutes away from getting into Smashville. The land, the go, probably go for dinner, whether it's probably not a team dinner. But I wouldn't think, although it is the first road trip, so who knows? Maybe the whole group goes together and they'll have the morning skate tomorrow and they take on the Nashville Predators, who are 0-3, along with the Colorado Avalanche. The Avs, like the Oilers last night, will be looking to pick up their first victory of the season. See if they do it. When the Oilers skate into Nashville, and you look at the last few seasons, a gentleman by the name of Leon Draisaitl has quite enjoyed playing for the Oilers against the Nashville Predators, as he has lit them up for almost for fun, like to a ridiculous amount. Like when you're averaging pretty much 2 goals a game against the Nashville Predators, that's pretty good run. And the fact that he's got 2 goals this season, scored a huge goal last night for them, and after taking 2 consecutive games where he took undisciplined penalties, Draisaitl's got 19 goals in his last 12 games against the Predators. Like, honestly, that's kind of like minor hockey numbers. So that's a pretty impressive run for him. So 19 goals in his last. So that's from the start of the 1920 season till now. Pretty good. He He's had a few 4-goal games in there. Well, one, and then he's had a hat trick in another game. So he should, in theory, I would think, skate into Nashville feeling very good about himself, right? And the games in Nashville, he had a 4-pointer, then he had a 5-pointer, then he had a 3-pointer. He also had another 5-point game. So man, he goes. It's 19 goals in 12 games. Overall is pretty good. But then you just look at what he's done on the road in Nashville, and you might be thinking, maybe we'll go to playalberta.ca. So the last 5 visits for Leon Draisaitl to Nashville, he has he's had 2-goal game, 2-goal game, a 3-goal game, and a 4-goal game. One game he was obviously just terrible. He had no points. That was in December of 2022. But his last 5 visits, 4 goals, 5 points, 3 goals, 3 points, 2 goals, 5 points, 2 goals, 4 points, and then the one game with nothing. So I'd say that's a pretty good stretch. 11 goals in his last 5 games in Nashville and 18 points. So how many of you have a golf course that you go to and you automatically play better? It doesn't matter. Like you pull up in the parking lot, you step outside of your car, right? Your club's out of the trunk or your hatchback, maybe the back of your truck, whatever you're driving. And you automatically are like, you're going to play good today. Automatic. That's how you feel. Now, that doesn't guarantee you'll play well, but I bet you have a course that you naturally play better at. It's just psychological. And you can't tell me that Leon Draisaitl, when he gets up in the morning tomorrow and walks into the arena in the morning, he's like, I've had some pretty good games here lately. And you just naturally will feel better. You will. Now, it doesn't mean, of course, because he had 13 points in 3 games and then went 1 game without a point and then scored 4 the next one. So it doesn't guarantee that he's going to do it, but my goodness. If there was ever a game where I was looking for a guy to score a goal, it would be Draisaitl tomorrow against the Nashville Predators. And maybe good news for the Oilers that in those 5 games, he has 6 power play goals because their power play's got to get going. It did not look very good last night. When they did have good looks, they missed the net, which shows to me that they're aiming too much. Right? They're trying to have the perfect shot rather than just get it on net. Right? Like their power play, it's the one element of the game. It's good that they got a win last night, but their power play, for the most part, Con Man, has been pedestrian, to put it politely. Pedestrian.
Yeah, I mean, and it's kind of foreign to us, right? To scroll down the power play numbers and not see them realistically in the top 2 or 3. Like that's where they're supposed to be. What do you think the problem is? Like I see a lot of hope passes and
well, they're not shooting the puck.
Yeah,
that's the number one thing.
I don't want to say pass it into the net, but it feels like it.
No. Well, they're missing the net is number one. Way too many missed shots. But as I outlined yesterday on the show, for 3 consecutive seasons, the Oilers, they've had the best power play for 5 years. But and it might even be longer, but I know for the last 3 years, the Oilers have had not only the number 1 power play in the NHL, they were number 1 in shots per 60. They shoot the puck. They're a heavy volume shooting team. It's not always from Bouchard. They mix it up. It's Draisaitl. Obviously, when their power play is the best, he's the trigger man. All the numbers back that up. Yes, you need McDavid scoring here and Bouchard and Nugent Hopkins and Hyman. But when their power play is the best, Draisaitl's a trigger man. Not the only one. He's the main one. But right now, they got a whole lot of nothing going on in the power play. I'm trying to think where... Like, it's just looked out of sync all season long. Like, because there's times where you'll be on the power play and you'll look and say, all right, they didn't score, but oh my goodness, did they create some really good chances, right? And the crowd's going, ooh, and maybe a goalie's making some unreal save, or you know what? They're cycling and they're hunting and it's endless. Well, it's not that way right now for the Oilers. Their power play is not scary at all so far. Hyman, how about this? Hyman's your net front presence on the power play. He has no shots on goal on the power play. Bouchard and McDavid have 1. Nugent Hopkins has 2 and Draisaitl has 4. They have 8 shots and their power play number 1 unit has been on for 14 minutes. They're not even at a half a shot a game. Like a half a shot per one. It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal right now. So, you know what? Maybe going into Nashville, Draisaitl will get a power play goal, and they get their power play going because it needs to get off of Schneider. It's 11%, and it really hasn't looked dangerous at all. Hey, guys, would you switch up the power play, give Skinner a chance? You've had the best power play for a long time. I'm not going to panic after 4 games, but I'm going to pressure them to say, guys, let's get going here. To me, they've earned the right to work their way out of it. But they got to get going here. Bouchard's normally really good at getting shots through. He's getting shots blocked. And then they're missing the net, which to me shows they're gripping the stick a little bit too tight at times. But to me, it's just, well, like Evan Bouchard, it's odd. Now, he did score the one that now got called back on Hyman, got everything on that, and then he scored the tying goal. And all it takes for an elite skilled player is just one. And all of a sudden they're like, I got my confidence back. I got the mojo flowing. My hands are soft again. And maybe that'll be the case for Bouchard. But usually when you look at Bouchard's game, you're like, oh, geez, maybe he made a wrong read defensively. You're never worried about his puck moving skills or his passing. That's like his forte. Well, he has been, that puck almost looks like an octagon. I mean, chipping that thing all over the place. So I would expect their power play to be better. I wouldn't change it yet. But if it extends to the end of the month, 100%, I would look at Jeff Skinner possibly. So we'll see. 421 now. We'll return. Yaremchuk will join us. We got 5 questions. Spec will go to Utah. Former Oil King Dylan Gunther is having himself a heck of a year. We get to all that and more on the Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Coming to you live in the eWell studio, EWEL.ca, for all your electrical gear needs. 24/7 online shopping. It's made easy. Order now at EWEL.ca.
Ain't it beautiful? What does excellence mean to you, and how does it impact your decisions? Friends, it's Carrie Dahl, and I know that at Volvo Cars Edmonton, excellence isn't an option, it's their everything. From customer satisfaction in sales, service, inventory, and retention, they excel in all. Congratulations, Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Volvo of Edmonton.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta, new players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
You'll see us digging holes. No, we're not looking for buried treasure. You'll see us digging trenches as well. And no, we're not building a fort. We're GS Construction, and you'll see us in neighborhoods throughout the Edmonton area. So what are we doing? GS Construction provides rehabilitation and upgrade services to Edmonton and surrounding communities. Some of our underground utilities have served us for years and are past their useful lives. We replace them, so they're around for years to come. Find out more at gsconstruction.ca.
Find the perfect tractor for any job at Edmonton Kubota. Their massive selection of compact tractors has something for everyone, whether you're tackling small tasks or big projects. And right now, take advantage of 0% financing for up to 72 months. It's never been easier to get the power and reliability you need. Come down to Edmonton Kubota today and drive away with the tractor that's just right for you. Edmonton Kubota, where your perfect tractor awaits.
The locks are on a timer. They're going to get out.
Sounds like jobs for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Service team reporting. With the remarkable reach of our bucket trucks and other equipment, we assess, service, and maintain your electrical lighting and automation systems.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Mr. Rooter meets a ghost.
One plunge, 2, and 3. A toilet clogged with a ghost? Man, I love plumbing. You're free now.
I will never find peace. The clog is fixed, yes, but I have never trusted the sump pump.
No problemo. I can fix that. Yeah, go to the light, you little scamp.
Thank you, Mr. Rooter.
To resolve your unfinished plumbing business, trust one plumber, Mr. Rooter.
Lovely Wednesday. Woo! Sports fans. God, it's just an overdose of stuff to watch. You got Major League Baseball playoffs tonight. The Dodgers and the Mets. You got 4 games in the NHL. Of course, you have WHL going on, AJHL, BCHL. NBA's coming right around the corner. They're wrapping up the preseason. Oof, it's unreal time. NFL tomorrow, and then, of course, through the weekend. So love it. Orders in Nashville tomorrow. As we go in the room, brought to you by Action Electrical, and they are always taking action. Whether you need electrical preventative maintenance, you're looking just for some advice on the best way to go about getting solar on your home or business, that's where they can really help you out because they are experts in that department. Go to actionelectrical.net. As we joined by Tyler Yaremchuk from Orders Nation and Daily Face Off. And why would you make another bet to eat cat food?
Well, I mean, they lose the first game, and you looked ahead to the remainder of the homestand, and it was like, okay, Chicago, projected bottom feeder, Calgary, projected bottom feeder, and then Philly, who's like a middling team. And it was just kind of like a spur of the moment thing as we were reading comments on Oilers Nation every day where people, or some people, I should say, were really freaking out about the first loss. And I just said, like, hey, calm down. Listen, I'm really confident this team will turn it around. If they lose all 4, I'll eat cat food. And in the moment, you're like, I mean, if you were to calculate the betting odds of them losing all 3 of those games, it's like 500 to 1.
Oh, okay. Well, that's true. So let's be honest, though. Let's be honest. How stressed were you at the end of the second period?
Oh, I was at the game with my fiance, and I mean, if you were to ask her, like, I was miserable. I basically didn't want to leave my seat. Even when the Oilers scored their 2 goals in the second period, I had no reaction. I was very nervous yesterday.
Did you know what kind of cat food you're going to eat?
I mean, well, I've done it once already, which is so messed up to say. So I think I would go back to that because that's at least, you know, the devil you know. So maybe I would go in that direction. But I don't know. I'm just happy it didn't happen. I did, though. I called out on social media our guy, Jay Downton, because he wanted me to eat cat food so bad that he bet against the Oilers yesterday. He bet on the Flyers to win that game because he thought it would manifest it. So fake fan alert.
Well, I could see that, though. Good friend alert. Like, who doesn't want to see their buddy eat cat food again?
I guess.
The Oilers, though, they did wake up their top guys, but the Henrique and Brown, who have been their best forwards along with Jeff Skinner in the first 4 games, and I think it's actually by a significant margin. I don't just look at points. I just look at their overall play. And those 2 and Skinner have been a mile ahead of the other guys, but they don't have the skill of what we saw on the tying goal from Draisaitl McDavid right to Bouchard, boom, and then they win it in overtime. And you know what? Even for the best players in the world, like, they look so out of sync for the first 11 and a half periods this season. Like, it was kind of stunning to me.
Yeah, it really was to see how out of sync the big guns were. And I have Tyler Ennis on my show every week. And one thing we talked about last week was, and this was on the heels of, again, losing to Winnipeg, is he just kind of said, when you're a skill team and you go up against teams who identities are work hard, work hard, work hard, he said early in the year, sometimes it can just be a little bit off. And the teams who just work hard, like, it is a little bit easier to just wake up early in the season and be like, skate hard, hit guys. Okay, let's go do it. Versus with the Oilers, if you're off by a little bit, like we saw in those first 3 games of the year, you can even say 3.5 games of the year, if their passing's off by a little bit, it's noticeable. If a team's hitting is off by a little bit, it's not quite as noticeable. So I did find that interesting from Ennis, but I mean, hopefully that third period in the OT win just gets their mojo back a little bit. And maybe another way to take this, and I'll flip this into a question for you, did they maybe not take the preseason as seriously as they should? Like, you watch the games and they tried hard, but is their philosophy maybe in the preseason off?
Yeah, I don't know. I try to make nothing of the preseason. I'd go back and I should pull it up right now to say, okay, which teams, were good in the, I remember New Jersey went 7-0 last year in the preseason. Everybody in New Jersey's like, yeah, we're carrying it over. We're going to be awesome. And they missed the playoffs. Now, injuries played a part in it. Sure, they didn't get off to a good. But if I'm looking at the teams in the so Dallas, Ottawa, Buffalo had a really good preseason and started 0-3. Looking at the Kings, they were all right. Flames, actually, they've carried it over. Colorado, Edmonton. I'm going to the bottom. Colorado, Edmonton. They were good. Chicago didn't win a game in the preseason, and played well, right? So I don't know. I think it's kind of here or there. But Nashville, Edmonton, and Colorado were all 26th to 30th, and they all struggled out of the gate. Now Colorado's is, I'm not sure it's as easily fixable as Edmonton, because Colorado's big guns are playing well. The problem is they don't have any little guns, and they don't have a goaltender, and they don't have a lot of depth right now. Edmonton was obviously a little frustrated, and I think, they'll probably just be able to exhale. Man, the Avs lose tonight, and if their goaltenders struggle again tonight, that I could see spiraling quickly in Colorado, just because they have very little depth, and they lost their other top line winger in Drouin, so they basically are down now to McKinnon and Rantanen.
Yeah, and they're going back to Georgiev, I think it looks like, tonight. So I think Capo Kakinen, who they claimed on waivers, I heard earlier in the week, he was having some visa issues, being able to work back in the States again after getting claimed off waivers. So I think they're holding out a little bit of hope that maybe Capo Kakinen can be a stopgap solution for them. I do agree with your point where, their big guns are rolling and they're not winning hockey games, and that's concerning. Where maybe there's some light at the end of the tunnel is if the injury situation gets better. Lehkonen, Landeskog, you mentioned Drouin, Devon Taves is out right now too. So maybe, but again, how far behind the 8 ball do you want to put yourself? And I know there's going to be a team this year, Greg's, that starts 1-9 or something crazy, and their fan base is going to sit and go, look at what the Oilers did last year. Why can't we just do that? And the problem with pointing to the Blues of 2017, I believe was the year, and the Oilers of last year is there are 2 examples of that in the last decade of teams turning it around to that extent. There are way more examples of New Jersey's and teams like Ottawa who every year start slow and never get out of that hole.
Yeah, no, even I was telling people, hey, yeah, what happened last year was great. But the Oilers aren't the same team as last year either. So Colorado, Nichushkin is probably a month away. Even he's got, I think it's, middle of November. So it's at earliest a month away. Because he's got to get reinstated, and I think it was May 15th. So the earliest for him is November 15th. And then Landeskog, I don't know if he'll ever play again. I hope he does for his sake, but who knows? Lehkonen, that's a big one. Drouin's out multiple weeks. You mentioned Jonathan Taves. I don't care what team you are. You lose that many of your top 6 forwards and your top defensemen. It's going to be, you can't just, you can find guys for a week or so, but when it's 4 at a time, it's hard. If you have one, you could say, hey, you know what? Hey, Edmonton looks and says, hey, I think, you know what? Adam Henry, Connor Brown, if we had to put him in the top 6 for 2 weeks, I think they'd be okay. But you don't want to do it long term.
No, not at all. And then to tie this back to the Oilers and kind of the comment you made of, yeah, if the Oilers had gone through those first 3 games and lost them 6-5, 7-6, and 4-3, and it was like Connor and Leon have 10 points in 3 games and the Oilers are 0-3 because the goaltending's brutal and the defense is way worse than we thought it would be, and all the depth pieces look slow, then I think there would have been more of a reason to panic at that point. But sitting down 0-3, again, Connor and Leon are going to wake up at some point. Those guys are not going at 55 and 60 point paces for any more than a week. Like, we know that. So I think that was one reason why fans could cling to some optimism and why the panic didn't need to be as high as it was. And for some people wasn't as high as it was, because again, those guys are going to snap out of it at some point.
Yeah. Like the history, they're just too good to have it run long-term. What do you make of Jeff Skinner? I don't know how closely you watch his game, but what have you liked from Skinner in his first 4 regular season appearances?
Yeah, there's a handful of things I really like. A willingness to shoot the puck from anywhere is great. I think that is a welcome sight on the Oilers. And also, they found a lot of success in the playoffs last year, being a very good cycle team. And I think having a guy like Skinner who can float, find those soft pockets like those naturally born goal scorers do, and then rip the puck is awesome. And I kind of like his fit with Adam Henrique and Connor Brown. Again, Henrique and Brown are both guys that can make plays. Jeff Skinner is a guy who can make plays once the puck gets on his stick. And one thing I found interesting last night is they didn't take a particularly difficult matchup. I know they got Johnson and Ristolainen, but they didn't spend really close to, or they didn't spend a lot of time on the ice against Sanheim in the top pairing for Philly. And while people looked at the Skinner going to the third line and like, why are you demoting a guy who scored a goal and looks like one of your best forwards? But I viewed it more as like, no, they're creating an actual third line that can score and can win its matchup. And, we're not going to be sitting here going, God, the Oilers just need a bottom 6 that can saw off and break even. No, you might have a third line now that on a pretty regular basis can outscore the other team. So if you're of the mindset that, no matter who you put Connor and Leon with, they're going to, on most nights, get theirs and find a way to produce, then moving a guy like Jeff Skinner, who is a proven 30-goal scorer multiple times, if he clicks on that third line and all of a sudden you have a reliable source of offense coming consistently from your third line, that's a massive win. So I like this fit on the third line, and I wouldn't mind seeing Chris Knobloch give it some length here. Give him 5-6 games and see if the chemistry continues to develop.
What about Nugent Hopkins, and how long do you think he keeps McDavid and Draisaitl together?
I just don't know if Ryan Nugent Hopkins is a centerman and a centerman that you can run with, I should say, for weeks on end. Like, stopgap wise, sure, but I don't know. Victor Arvidsson's looking like a guy who hasn't played a ton of hockey over the last year, and it's because he hasn't. He missed a ton of last season with injury. I like the energy that Podkolzin can bring, but he's not exactly a driver, and I don't see Nugent Hopkins as a driver. So honestly, I think I would like the makeup of the top 6 more if you swapped Draisaitl and Nugent Hopkins. We know Nugent Hopkins, Draisaitl, or Nugent Hopkins, McDavid, and Hyman can work. It's worked for long stretches in the past. Last year, there was a run. It was one of the best lines in hockey. Putting Draisaitl with 2, call him worker bees, and Podkolzin and Arvidsson, who forecheck hard and aren't afraid to go to the dirty areas, I think that's a better chance for long-term success than keeping Nuge where he is and having Draisaitl up on the top line.
I think Nuge is, like, I looked and I said it last night going in, Henrique, Brown, and Skinner were the Oilers' second line. I think Nugent Hopkins is a third line right now. And I think if he plays center, he's a third line center. He's never produced enough to me to be a second line center 5-on-5 consistently. It's not what he is. And especially later on in his career. And then you look at the line mates and such. That's kind of how I view it. So I could see them keeping Draisaitl and McDavid together for one more game because they haven't practiced yet, right? They'll have a morning skate. And then maybe they practice Friday. And that's maybe when they split them up for Dallas. Because Dallas, they just got a deeper team. And I could see that. Plus, Draisaitl is so hot against the Preds. I outlined 19 goals in his last 12 games, 33 points in his last 12 games. And he's got 18 points in his last 5 road games in Nashville. So I get why they would keep him together for that game, because he is walking in there. Ty, you golf a lot. I'm sure there's some courses when you drive in, you're just like, hey, I'm playing good today. Right? And then others, you're like, God, I hate this course. Draisaitl is walking in to that Nashville rink tomorrow before the game, and he's like the Connor McGregor walk to the ice surface. He's like, I'm going to dominate tonight.
Yeah, playalberta.ca, Draisaitl anytime goal, Draisaitl shot prop. He's going to be hammering pucks on net too, just because, again, when you have that swagger, I think when you're in the top, maybe at the top of the circle, a spot where he usually wouldn't shoot, just let her go. It's got a good chance of going in because he has that confidence. And again, hopefully, I know there was he missed 2 rotations, a light benching, if you want to call it that. Maybe that wakes him up a little bit. Maybe that OT winner as well gives him a little bit more of his swagger back.
I love that play from Knobloch. You had to do it. It's 2 consecutive games where one of your leaders just took bad penalties.
Yeah, and again, going back to last year when they were struggling, Draisaitl has a tendency when things aren't going his way to put it in really simple terms, act out. And that's all that was, is he was skating over to Hathaway and just decided, well, I'm going to bury this guy because things aren't going my way right now. So I love that Knobloch sent a message, and they need accountability. Like, I don't know if you heard Cale Makar the other day talking to the media after he had a tough game. He said something along the lines of like, if I wasn't out there tonight, I think we win the game. That's how bad he thought he was. And I just love that sense of accountability from superstar players.
Yeah, no, it's true, because they get a lot of credit, as they should, but they can't be above criticism. And I think there's so many factors that go into it. You're down 3-0 to start the season. You're really, for the first 11 periods, your best guys haven't come close to being your best guys. Draisaitl is struggling. McDavid is struggling. Bouchard. And so, I think the coach looked, and not that it was a desperate time, but it's 2 consecutive penalties. It was the perfect time to do it. And Draisaitl responded how he should. He ends up with an assist and then the goal and the game winner. And he can, he might not be happy about it, but there's no chance he can disrespect his coach for the decision he made, because he even said after the game it was an undisciplined penalty.
Yeah, and I do think, again, obviously he knows what he did was wrong, but I found his celebration on the OT winner as well to be interesting. No big smile, no big celebration. He just unbuckled the chin strap and just kind of had that deadpan look, almost as if like, yeah, you know what? I had to do that. I'm not even happy I did. That was like the standard. I had to do something to help the team win this one.
Yeah, no, that's probably fair. Tyler Yaremchuk joins us. Lastly, Ty, give me your thoughts. I want to get your thoughts on the Bills and the Amari Cooper trade, and also the Jets trade. The Cooper one looks better just because contract, salary cap alone. Devontae Adams might be a better guy, top end guy at the end of the day, if he gets there or not. But what'd you make of the deal for your Bills?
Yeah, I absolutely love it. You're right. I think Devontae Adams has a bit more of that high end to him, but I think Amari Cooper, he's gotten some recognition now, but I think for a while, a few years ago, he was one of the more underrated receivers in the league, and his drops are a concern this year. A lot of that probably Deshaun Watson, but still his drop number is a bit concerning, but his separation number is great. And I think that's perfect. That is exactly what the Bills needed. And I love the aggression too. Like, don't sit here and wait until the trade deadline. Couple weeks out, boom, go get your guy if you like it. So yeah, the cap wise, he's like an $800,000 cap it this year. It was a no brainer for Buffalo. He was the guy I wanted all along. I'm going to Seattle to watch him play in 11 days, and I am wondering if I can get an Amari Cooper jersey made in time.
Well, there you go. Good luck. Awesome, buddy. Go to Elite Sports. They can probably get you one. There you go. Ty Yaremchuk from Daily Faceoff. We'll chat with you tomorrow. Have a good one.
See ya.
There you go. That's Yaremchuk from Oilers Nation and Daily Faceoff. Avoided eating cat food. What kind of idiot makes a bet like that, eh? Jeez, Connor. Like, what kind of dummy would do something like that? I can't believe it. Although I will say, 4 games, that's actually not even that bad. People being like, oh, yeah, way to go out on a limb. But it almost came true. 1 game. You got to be a real buffoon to make a 1-game bet. Real buffoon.
And he only had to eat cat food once, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah,
it would have been over quick.
It's 1 day quick of pain rather than 4.5 months of looking in the mirror and being like, what is going on? So, God, I tell you, I'll never do that again. We'll come back with 5 questions more on the Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Use the promo code Gregor50 and you'll get a free $50 wager in October at PlayAlberta.ca.
When interest rates are low, that's a good time to buy a vehicle. And 0% means it's a great time to buy. Right now, St. Albert Dodge can set you up with 0% financing on hundreds of vehicles. Virtually all new 2024 models. Jeep Compass, Wrangler, Grand Cherokee, and Wagoneer. 0%. Dodge Durango and Hornet. 0%. Ram 1500, 2500, and 3500 trucks, all as low as 0%. Why pay interest? Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
I'm Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
And I'm Zach Hyman.
And when we're not making juicy, sweet passes
or having my goals disallowed,
we're working for Legacy Heating and Cooling.
You know, guys used to call me a plumber.
And now they call you an HVAC technician.
Nice.
Hey, guys, you're not here to install furnaces. You're here to sing the jingle.
Oh.
Well.
Okay.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
No payments and no interest for 1 year from qualified installers. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Excavators, loaders, lifts, compaction equipment, and more. Find the XCMG construction equipment you need. Available for rental or sale at Japa Machinery Group. Japa, helping build Alberta from the ground up for 50 years. Visit japamachinery.com.
The madness continues at the Brick. Find huge savings in every department, like up to $900 off sofas and sectionals, up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture, up to $800 off select big screen televisions, and up to 40% off select mattresses. Plus, buy more, save more, up to an additional $500 off select major kitchen appliances. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. At the Brick, saving you more.
Often when I meet people at a party or I'm hanging out at my favorite restaurants, I'll introduce myself and they'll say, "Oh, you're Grant Fedoruk from Leading Edge Physio. What can I do about this sore knee? It's been bugging me for months." First, I was thinking, when I'm out like this, I should just tweet my location so people know where to come for a consultation. But then I thought, I'm spending all this money on advertising Leading Edge. Maybe you could come by one of our clinics. That's where we have the technology and really smart physiotherapists who can give you all the advice and treatment you need. Have your people call my people, leadingedgephysio.com.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Raise a smoothie to any friend you've had since 1999. That's a good friend. And Booster Juice was there, now celebrating 25 years in Canada and more than 450 locations from coast to coast. A silver anniversary splashed with lots of oranges. Celebrate 25 years of Booster Juice with the return of OG favorite smoothies like the Marathon, the Original, and the Orangesicle, made with oranges, orange sorbet, and vanilla frozen yogurt. Happy 25th Booster Juice. Download the Booster Rewards app today.
Hey there, it's your friends from Toyota. We see you eyeing that Tundra. Already picturing yourself hauling so much firewood that your chainsaw's hiding behind the shed. It's time to stop dreaming about that new Toyota and start driving one. Lease a 2024 Tundra 4x4 Double Cab SR5 from $146 weekly for 64 months at 4.39% with $6,299 down. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Prairie Toyota dealer today.
I'm Gene Principe for Legacy Heating and Cooling. If you need a furnace this Halloween, it'd be a grave mistake not to
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
need repair, revampire your furnace. Just
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
Legacy has a skeleton of furnaces in stock.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
Plus, no interest and no prints of payments for 1 year when you buy with Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube and Facebook and X. Also, sports1440.ca. That's where you take us in. Maybe you got the app. Shout out to everybody who's driving all over the country right in town. They love listening on the app. It's fantastic radio player app, iHeartRadio, of course, the Stingray app. Download it today. If you've yet to try it, you'll love it. Let's get to 5 questions. 5 questions. Right. Phone's brought to you by The Brick, where you can get your home ready for the upcoming holiday season and save up to $900 off functional and stylish sofas and sectionals. And by the way, great for making forts in your basement. It's The Brick, thebrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, Jason, question number 1 for you. What was the biggest thing that stood out to you in the Oilers' win last night over the Philadelphia Flyers?
Ooh, it's hard to pick one, but honestly, just a continued solid play. I've really liked Henrique and Brown and Skinner, and I thought they just, they continue to carry a lot of the load for the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, I'll say the bounce back, down to nothing, bounce back into the game. They go down again, they find a way back, and the team as a whole, but also the superstars. Like you talked about it, the top line wasn't good. They didn't have a shot. You assembled those guys. They didn't have a shot in the first period, and then they were kind of a liability. Like Draisaitl with a penalty, but when the game was on the line, they needed it. They got it from them. So I just think the bounce back was really good to see from the Oilers in that game. Question number 2, though. We've seen special teams. It was so strong in the cup run. Not so much to start the season. Obviously, I think we could all agree the power play is going to bounce back, but the PK did lose some key players. And is also currently last in the league, 56.3%. Only 4 games in, I know, but how do you think the Oilers can fix the PK going forward?
Well, they just got to continue to get in sync and a rhythm, right? Like timing's a big one for them. I didn't really have a major breakdown on the first Philly power play goal yesterday. And then their penalty kill actually came up with that huge 5-on-3 kill for 40 seconds, and right after, and then unfortunately, they had the own goal from Ekholm right after it expired. But I don't think it's going to be an easy one. Obviously, it helps when your goalie makes some saves like Skinner did. No question about that. And sometimes your goalie's got to make a save that he shouldn't make on your power play, so that will help. But it's probably just going to come down to timing and in sync a little bit, especially on the back end, because there's so many different guys now.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's going to kind of even itself out as the season goes on and guys kind of finding their roles. Not too concerned about it like the power play. I think it's going to get back on track. I think just let it play out and they'll fix it. Question number 3 for you. We're going to talk some Utah Hockey Club in the next hour. Right now, though, the team's 3-1 on a long road trip, going to return home after the game in Anaheim tonight. Where do you think they finish in the standings this season?
Well, I had them, I think, 5th in their conference. So, which had them, right, battling for the wild card, and that's kind of where I expect them to be.
Yeah, that unfortunately for them, Dallas, Winnipeg, going to be tough to top. And then, could Colorado make a run? It was Minnesota going to hang around there, then St. Louis, Nashville. Yeah, like it's a tough division. So I think it'll be tough, but I'm hoping for them. I'm going to have them finishing in a wild card spot because I'd like to see them crack the playoffs with that young team and the talent that they have there. Question number 4, we talked to Paul Sir, and we've got a lot of players heading to new teams this offseason. Which player are you most intrigued to watch with their new team?
Well, obviously it's the major trade, but I look at Towns for the Knicks. You got Brunson, he's their guy. And Paul talked about how the Knicks are a real kind of, when your superstar is a grinder in basketball, I think that can really help your team. And obviously he can make big shots. A great player. Towns has a little bit of a rep of maybe not being that guy, but now he goes to a place where he's not the guy. It's not his team. It's Brunson's team. He's got to fit in well. So I'm intrigued to see, can he do it? Because, he's got some skill, no doubt, but is it going to be enough in New York? Because they're either going to love him or they will turn on him quickly in New York City.
I'm going to go with DeMar DeRozan to the Sacramento Kings. Ooh. I feel like, since the Kings-Lakers little rivalry they had, like Vlade Divac and Bibby back in the day, Kings haven't really been there, but they're
the Sacramento Queens.
The Queens, yeah.
Shaq said.
They're starting to kind of build it up again. So I want to see what DeMar can do with the Kings. So that'll be one that I'll be very intrigued by. My final question for you is, on this day in 1923, Disney Brothers Cartoon Studio was founded. So when you think of all the great Disney films and movies, all the things that they've produced, what stands out to you?
You go first.
There's so many to choose from. Remember the Titans is a Disney movie, not a cartoon. but I think Disney does sports movies the best. And maybe they're not going to be like adult movies, but for just feel good movies, I think they knock it out of the park when it comes to kids Disney sports movies. So I will say Remember the Titans would be my favorite Disney movie. If we're going cartoons, I got to say Aladdin.
Okay. Well, see, because it kind of depends. If I go the original Disney from a youngster, the Pinocchio animated film was still one of the greatest ones. It was simple, right? Jiminy Cricket and his singing, but just all of a sudden the nose grows. It was such a useful tool for kids don't be Pinocchio, right? And you're just, oh my God, my nose is gonna grow if I lie. I can't lie. Like it was fantastic. And then if I go next, I would probably go just because I very much enjoyed it. I'm gonna go with Toy Story.
Good one.
I thought Toy Story was like I saw that older in life and I thought it was great.
Is it the third one that is the really sad one?
Ooh, that's a good question. Is Toy Story 3 or 4? I think it's 3. I think you're right. I think it's 3. Yeah, I think it might have been 3, the original one. That's when he's moving out, right? Is that the one you're talking about?
See, I've only seen the first 2.
Oh.
I was hoping one of the younger kids behind us might point it out, but maybe not.
I'm pretty sure that's when Andy moves out.
3.
In
3 we're told.
Yeah. And there's like he outgrows his toy. And I think what it is people, because if you're an adult, you're watching that, you're like, oh my God, like I remember some of my favorite toys. And like because you were connected to them, right? Yeah, I had some favorite classics. Like luckily, when my mom, when we sold the farm, because I had this big pumpkin container. And I had all my like dinky cars. So every time we'd go to the farm, it was always there because, for generations, kids would play with it and nieces and nephews and my son and everybody else. But, my mom, when we asked, like, I'm not overly nostalgic about a lot of things, but I wanted 2 things. There was a sign I'd purchased for my dad one year when we had set a budget. We could only spend $30. Like, we didn't have any money really. Everybody at the time. And so you can only spend $30 for a Christmas gift. You got one gift. Like I think I was probably 19 or something. Right. And so I got a license plate sign that says Bill's Barn where shit happens. And, we put it at the barn and laughed. I thought it was funny. It was, good sense of humor and stuff. And so that always, and I actually put a protector over it so it never faded. And that was the one thing I wanted. And then I wanted the bucket of cars. Because I'm like, now when I play with my son, it still reminds me, like, I love it. I can sit down and I can play dinky cars for hours, man. I love it. The Hot Wheels, they're unreal. So I get why the Toy Story one, you're a little nostalgic and gives a little tear to your eye when you think about it. So there you go. I like it. Coming up, Mark Spectre will join us. Also, Cole Bagley talking a little Utah Hockey Club, former Edmonton Oil King, Mr. Gunther, off to quite the start for him. The Con Man is going to take you through the final hour of the show today with Declan. So we'll get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Booster Juice. 25 years. Started in 1999. Dale had an idea, and look at it. It's become a massive success story, not just in Edmonton, but across the country, globally. Fantastic, great success story. And they're bringing back some of your faves, the original, the marathon, and the creamsicle. Just kind of like your favorite dinky cars. Your favorite Booster Juices are back, only at Booster Juice.
The Sports 1440 update.
Fight night in the NHL, just 4 games on the schedule. The Sabres are in Pittsburgh, taking on the Penguins. That'll get going in about 5 minutes. At 5:30, Leafs host the Kings. At 7:30, Bruins taking on the Avalanche. Then at 8 o'clock, it's the Ducks welcoming Utah to town. The Oilers back in action tomorrow, taking on the Preds. That'll be a 6 o'clock start. In Major League Baseball playoff action, you got the Mets hosting the Dodgers just after 6 o'clock. As the NLCS series tied at 1 game apiece. News from the NFL, Denver Broncos will be without cornerback Patrick Surtain when they meet the Saints on Thursday. He suffered a concussion in the team's loss to the Chargers on Sunday. NBA preseason tonight, Cavs take on the Pistons, Sixers host the Nets, the Hawks are in Miami, and the Bulls take on the Timberwolves. Ulm from the German Bundesliga in Portland to take on the Trailblazers at 8 o'clock. And in the WNBA, we've got Game 3 of the finals. Lynx and Liberty, that gets going just after 6 from Minneapolis. That series tied at a game apiece. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we will be joined by Mark Spectre of Rogers Sportsnet to recap the Oilers' victory, and Cole Bagley from KSL Sports will join us to discuss the Utah Hockey Club. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Ain't it beautiful? The inventory is unprecedented. Volvo Cars Edmonton is proud to boast an amazing selection of in-stock Volvo XC40s, 60s, and 90s. Visit Volvo Cars Edmonton today and experience the exemplary service you've come to expect and the affordable luxury only found with Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Experience the difference.
Volvo of Edmonton. Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients. Better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. That's Sports20.
Introducing the Female Super League. Female hockey is on the rise with more women playing the game than ever. Join us as we pave the way for the future of women's hockey. The FSL is more than a game. It's a movement and an experience for the motivated female athlete. Teams will compete in a showcase-style format featuring consistent interprovincial competition. Come be part of the journey as the 2024-25 season unveils a 12U division, as well as the launch of a groundbreaking progressive body-checking 14U division. For more information, visit femalesuperleague.com. The 2024 Junior A World Challenge is coming to Camrose. See the top prospects from the Canadian Junior Hockey League and across the world, December 9th to 15th at Encana Arena. Ticket packages are on sale now. See all 10 games from the preliminary round through to the coveted gold medal game. Visit hockeycanada.ca/WJAC to learn more and to secure your seats today. That's hockeycanada.ca/WJAC.
Hey, it's Scott from Sherwood and St. Albert Dodge. I think it's safe to say we are all paying attention to interest rates these days. If so, you'll like this. We have 0% financing available on Jeep Compass, Wrangler, Grand Cherokee, and Wagoneer. 0% on the Dodge Durango and the all-new Hornet. And the rates on Ram 1500, Ram 2500, and Ram 3500, you guessed it, 0%. Are you picking up the theme? We have 0% financing on virtually all 2024 new models with hundreds to choose from. Why pay interest? Instead, come get a new vehicle at St. Albert and Sherwood Dodge.
I couldn't ignore it. Everyone kept saying, "You look so tired."
Are you getting enough sleep, dear?
Hon, you look like you need some rest.
But I'm not tired. I guess I just look that way.
But you don't have to. I'm Dr. Vance Elliott, and I provide skin-refreshing treatments designed to give you a fresh and natural appearance. Don't worry, we won't drastically change how you look, but we will help you look as energetic as you feel. Book your consultation today at drvanceelliott.com.
Hey there, it's your friends from Toyota. We see you pining over that RAV4 at the light. And guess what? The light's been green for a while now. It's time to stop dreaming about that new Toyota and start driving one. Lease a 2024 RAV4 LE all-wheel drive from $91 weekly for 64 months at 5.69% with $3,999 down. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Prairie Toyota dealer today.
I'll be over at 10, it's all the time and again.
Clock, welcome back. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440. Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, Kate the Great with you here. Jason had to run doing some coaching, so we'll get you through the final hour of the show. Lots to get to. Take your text in the eWell inbox, 1-833-401-1440. Score your power play partners at eWell. Get all your electrical needs, ewell.ca, 24/7 ordering and shipping in Edmonton and across Alberta. Like I said, 1-833-401-1440. We're going to get to Cole Bagley in about 20 minutes, give or take here, talk a little bit about the Utah Hockey Club. 3-1 on the season. They played their first game against Chicago, won, went on the road, won 2 more, lost. Now they're in Anaheim to wrap up the road trip, and then they'll head back to Utah. I want to find out what's the buzz like in the city for this team. They've got some good young players. We've highlighted that. The atmosphere for those players going from, and it was a pretty ramped up crowd in Arizona, a small rink, but the crowd got pretty into it towards the end there. But you go to Utah, and it almost seems like it's an entirely different level, like where an NHL franchise should be playing their hockey. So I want to talk to Cole about that. And yeah, on the ice as well. They do look good. Tough division, as we just talked about in 5 questions, but we'll see what they're able to do going forward here. We are going to get to the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction. They are hiring for the 2024 season laborers, pipe layer helpers, top men and women, lead hands, operators, and water and sewer foremen. Go to Indeed.com and look up GS Construction. We bring in Mark Spectre of Rogers Sportsnet joining us now. Spec, good afternoon. How you doing?
Oh, pretty fair, Connor. I see you're in the captain's chair today. How's this? Driving into the ditch yet, or how you doing?
You know what? I've been doing it for about 2 minutes here, so I haven't had the time to go too off course, which is good. Jason had to go to a little bit of coaching, helping the youth, right? So whenever that happens, happy to slide in for a minute here.
Sure, sounds good. What's up?
Oh, looking to talk some hockey if that's good with you.
Yeah, let's do it.
The Edmonton Oilers last night, first win of the season. You've been around this team throughout the entirety of obviously preseason, regular season. You've had to talk to them after the losses. Was there a little bit of a different energy in the room just getting the win and finally, not having to answer those questions?
Yeah, it's funny. We had a good long off the record chat with Matthias Ekholm on the morning of the Philly game. And, he wasn't sour at the media or sour at anyone, but he was sour at the fact that, he said a year ago when he was hurt, he was watching this team play during their 2-9-1, and he thought that, he thought there was games where they really weren't very close and they were getting beat up. And he looked at these last 4 games or the last 3 and thought, we're really close and we're not that far off and we're playing way better. It's not the same thing. Now, we can discuss that and disagree and look at all the stats. I didn't think they were very good those first 3 games, but his point was we're not in the ditch the way we were in the ditch a little bit last year. We're not in the ditch this year. And it made him a little sour that the two were equated with each other. And then they went out last night and frankly, some more adversity, a couple more reviews that don't go their way or whatever. And they find a way to win. So that was, they haven't, I know that they're supposed to play better than this. I get all that. But every single thing has gone against them so far. Every review, it seems like every break, they finally overcame them all and won a game. I think that'll go a long way, not just overcoming the Flyers, but overcoming everything else the way they did last night.
Yeah, and we had people telling us it was a panic move to put Draisaitl, McDavid, and Hyman on that top line. And, the first period, wasn't great. They didn't get a shot, and then Draisaitl takes the penalty. But when it mattered, they seemed to find a way to dig deep and get the job done. And a lot of credit has to go to that third line last night. Connor Brown, Henrique, and Skinner looking very impressive.
Yeah, and in a couple of the first few games, the fourth line was the best line, right? Was Edmonton's best line. So, I think we've all been around this team long enough to know that no matter how good their top guys are, if they don't have, the top guys can make them a decent team by themselves. But in order to be a really good team, they need a proper third and fourth line that supports, that helps them to win. And we've seen that. That's the good news here. That would be the positive spin. The top 6 is still filled with guys who have been dormant. Nuge is dormant. Hyman has played, had a bunch of chances, doesn't have a point yet. Arvidsson hasn't got anything done yet. Draisaitl's had basically a good period this season. McDavid, not a whole lot more. So, those guys will get her going here. I've got absolutely no doubt about it. I haven't minded Skinner's game up there. But the fact that the third line's establishing itself, the fact they have got a fourth line that's getting some work done here, that probably bodes well for a team that can be pretty good this year.
Mark Spectre joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley, Declan Kruger with you here for the final hour of the program. And I want to ask you about Corey Perry and just what you think he brings to this team, not only on the ice, but off the ice, because I can go back and remember when he re-signed, seemed like people were happy to have him. Maybe the cost was a little too high for some people, but even last night, we see Troy Stecher drop the mitts, and then right after, Corey Perry seems to think it's not done yet. We got to go again. He drops the gloves, kind of changed the momentum in that game, brought a spark to the arena. What can you say about Corey Perry and what he brings to this team and what his role will be?
Well, what I like about him is, this was a first-round pick, a Hart Trophy winner, an Olympian, a first-line player his whole life. He's not that anymore, and he knows it. So he's finding ways to help a team that aren't, he always played on teams where there was other guys who'd have that energy fight, right? He was never that guy. He's Corey Perry, for crying out loud. He's got 1,300 games. Some guys are above that at this point in their career, but not him. And I like that. I think it's really cool that he's a fourth line right winger and he's playing like one. And I totally respect that. He's not a guy that's too good for anything here. He's checking hard. He's playing a little bit physical. He's doing all the fourth line stuff. He gets a tiny, tiny morsel of time on the second power play unit, which is almost nothing. So, and off the ice, he's all the things that, you're paying him as much for almost off the ice. His experience, like, I don't need to list it for everybody. He's done everything in the game. And I guess I'm watching him play. The biggest thing for me, Connor, and you tell me what you think, none of that matters if he can't play anymore. Mm-hmm. That old guy that can't play, that's hanging around on reputation, I don't want that guy. I'd rather have someone who can play. But he's got some chops. He's still helping to shape games in a different way than he did in Anaheim, for sure. But he's still helping this team win. And to me, that's still a valuable guy. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think he has a pretty good realization of what he has to do to make this team better. Like, he's not going to go out there and play 20 plus minutes and, do what he used to be able to do, but he can still, like you said, a little bit of power play time. He can be that, the jerk on the ice, which I think the Oilers sorely miss without Evander Kane out there. Like, they need that in hockey, and he's able to do that still. I think it might be a little bit of a motivation for him to still prove that he can contribute despite what some people might say. So I really liked his play to the start of the season. I don't know how long he keeps it up, or if fatigue sets in, or, maybe he's in the press box at some point this year, but I do like the game he's had so far.
That's okay. I mean, someone's going to get hurt here. Noah Philp's going to come up at some point. He's going to do two things. He's also, there's going to be a winger up at the top that's not having a good game, or that blocks a shot and leaves the ice, and he's going to take a couple shifts with Draisaitl or McDavid. And at the same time, he's going to spend a couple days in the press box because he's pushing 40, and he's not going to play 82 games for you, I would suggest.
Now, Spec, defensively, I guess the critics are out. The Oilers, though, if you want to look at it, they gave up 6 their first game, then 5, then 4, 3 last night. Hey, maybe tomorrow against the Preds, they're only going to give up 2. Maybe the progression continues here. But what have you made of this team's effort from a defensive perspective?
Well, what I saw last night was they moved the puck better. I thought the puck was getting out of the zone a lot better. That was the real, so that's, I'm judging a defense core on what they're doing with the puck, not when the other team has the puck. I thought they were way better last night. I thought Nurse was good last night, and I like Stetcher's game. Maybe there's some chemistry with Nurse and Stetcher. Let's figure that out. Stetcher got to earn himself another game here, the way he played last night. So there's that. On the defensive side, I'll be honest with you, it hasn't really been fair to judge anybody, particularly defensemen, when the goaltending's been as lousy as it was for the first 3 games, right? I mean, it was the goaltending, certainly in the first 2 games, was sub-zero. It wasn't great against Chicago or Calgary. And last night, Stu Skinner was excellent. Like, Stu Skinner was really good. And all of a sudden, now we're looking at the defensemen. We're saying, hey, these defensemen are better. Well, of course they're better, because they're not fishing pucks out of their net every second rush. So, give it a little time. I think individually, I want to, I got to see Emberson more. He's starting to look a little better. He's starting to look better. Again, Stetcher was good, and let's figure out Dermott next time he plays. But none of it's going to matter until the goaltending starts to stabilize, and I think it started to stabilize a little bit last night.
How long do you have like of a leash for Ty Emberson and to see what he can do? Because there's a small sample size last year playing, on a not very good San Jose team. We were told the numbers looked okay for him. I mean, how long do you think he has before we start to see what he really truly is?
Well, I mean, he's only played like 32 NHL games, so I'm afraid to tell you, you're not going to know by the end of this season what he is, right? Let's say he plays 80 games. That's he's a 110 game player. Like, you'll have a clue, but there's, look at a guy like Desharnais, how much he improved during the season. Oh my God, he was 10 times better in the playoffs than he was when the season started. So, he's got a long way to go, but he's just at the start of the road. I'll never tell you he won't get there. Like, who knows how good he could be. I'll tell you this, like right now, he looks like a young defenseman for sure. If he still looks this way in January and hasn't improved significantly, then that's a problem. He should be improving. So, but who are any of us to say that he won't improve? He can skate. He looks like he can pass a puck. When he gets over his nerves, he was really nervous the first game and he was brutal. I thought last night he looked way more calm and a lot better. So let's let him get 15 games under his belt here and see what he looks like. It's got to be unfair to judge him at this point, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, I would agree. Like you said, I don't know what the number used to be, but we always used to hear 100, 200, 250 games played. 300, right. Yeah, then we'll talk about an NHL defenseman and what they are. Mark Spectre joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. I want to ask you about the goaltending and what the plan might be, in your opinion. Do you go with Stuart Skinner tomorrow against Nashville and then Calvin Pickard on Saturday against Dallas, or what are you thinking?
Well, Stu's got to find his game here, and he began to last night. I thought he was really good last night. He lets in 3. I thought that Michkov goal was a little unfair to the goalie. Like, I'm not going to tell you that it was interference or wasn't, but geez, it sure looked to me like he had that post sealed. Michkov pushed his pad off the post and the puck went in. So I'm not telling you that's bad goaltending is what I'm trying to say here. I think I give the goalie a bit of a freebie there. So, you know what? He let in a really highly offensive game. He let in a couple goals, let in 3. I thought he was good. So I'm for sure playing him in Nashville, for sure. And if his game improves, it's a day off and a game in Dallas. I don't see a need. I haven't looked at their schedule in terms of back-to-backs coming up, but the most important thing here is to get Skinner's game ready. Pickard will figure out. Skinner's game's got to get up to par because he's the guy you're leaning on 3 nights out of 4 here.
Yeah, back-to-back will not be till the 27th and 28th. It's a Sunday, Monday in Detroit and Columbus. So like you say, obviously then it'll be, but I'm with you. I think getting Stuart Skinner back on track is a big one. Looking around the NHL right now, start to the season, Ottawa, and we know Utah have had okay starts. Some teams a little bit disappointing. The Colorado Avalanche. Is there a storyline outside of Edmonton you're a little intrigued by so far this season?
Well, a few of them, yeah. Like, let's even stay west. I'm fascinated. You know, Colorado's in such a weird state. They've lost some players. They've got injuries, an injury situation, but they've got their goalies playing and they're no good. So that's a problem. You know, they're counting on Georgiev there, and he hadn't been any good yet. So yes, that's an issue that will follow. I'm interested in Pettersson in Vancouver. You know, this is a guy who had a poor second half of the season. He had a poor playoffs. And we're 3 games into their season. I think he's got an assist, and he hadn't been very good. So I'm interested to see. You know, there's a ton of pressure in that market, boy, especially for their highest paid guy. And I'm fascinated a little bit by the Flames being 4-0, but that's not what they're trying to do down there. Like, it's a sad reality that 4-0 is the last thing the Flames need. Finishing in, you know, having the 14th draft pick is the last thing the Flames need, man. They got to lose games, and their goal this year has to be a top 5 draft pick. And if they sit in the mushy middle again, oh my goodness, that's to, you know, I'm happy to see them win, and I know lots of Flames fans, and good for them. But oh my God, don't tell me they're going to draft 15th again.
Yeah, I mean, that certainly seems to be a problem. If you're going to tank, do it like the Oilers, right? Just get the first overall pick. So much easier. So last question for you, Spec, before we let you go. The Dodgers and Mets meeting Game 3 of the NLCS. The series tied at a game apiece. You got Buehler for the Dodgers and Severino for the Mets. Who do you think comes out of this one?
Ooh, I don't know. I'm always torn. The Dodgers are a great traditional team. My mom was a giant Dodgers fan. But I always look at fan bases, frankly, the first thing. And Dodgers fans have been well treated to lots of wins over the years. And Mets fans are kind of like me and my Cubs friends. They've had the you-know-what kicked out of them for a long time, man. So, you know what? My heart's cheering for the Mets. I got to admit it. My heart's cheering for the Mets. And wouldn't it be fun? My heart's with Cleveland too, but a Subway Series would be a lot of fun, wouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I you know what? I don't think I would have any issue with any of these teams. Like you say, there is kind of the big payrolls and the fan bases that have been spoiled, but good options in my opinion. So looking forward to this one. That gets going in about 50 minutes, give or take. So Spec, enjoy the evening, watch some baseball. And tomorrow, if you're okay with it, we'll have you on a little bit earlier because we've got pregame coverage at 5:00.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Send me a note whenever you need me.
We'll arrange something. Thanks a lot for doing this, Spec.
All right. Thanks, man. Have a great show.
Thank you. There you go. That is Mark Spectre of Rogers Sportsnet. Joins us here on the show every day, 5:00, except for maybe tomorrow when we're going to get him on a little bit earlier. Brought to you by GS Construction. We got some football going on right now. Western Kentucky, the Hilltoppers playing Sam Houston. Two teams that are undefeated in their conference. Declan, Wednesday night college football. I'm here for it.
Does it get any better? My goodness. We got a little Conference USA action. Back when I was the head coach at Kennesaw State, I used to beat up on these teams for fun.
Yeah.
Although Western Kentucky would give me some games with their high-powered offense. Listen, you're not watching Bama, Georgia, right? But if you're looking for some fun football, it's a good game. Sam Houston has a good offense this year. I haven't watched too much Western Kentucky. I'm looking up now. They're 4-2, 2-0 in the conference play. They're up 7-0 right now, so it should be a fun one.
Forrest Lamp, old WKU alum. I remember when the Chargers drafted him. They got a steal, they said. Not the case. It didn't quite pan out. But what an athlete. If you're looking for some college football, you got that tonight. We got hockey. Right now, Buffalo, as I last checked, was leading in their game against the Pittsburgh Penguins. 2-0. Tage Thompson with another goal. Good to see him bounce back. 3 other games tonight. Toronto, LA, Boston, Colorado, and Utah and Anaheim. Anaheim, maybe the worst jerseys in the league, taking on Utah. Coming up next, we're going to talk about the Utah Hockey Club. Cole Bagley of KSL Sports will join us. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on X. We're all over the place. Brought to you by playalberta.ca.
Some things just work together. Sticks and pucks, cleats and AstroTurf. Your love for the game and Papa John's passion for better ingredients. Better pizza. Nothing pairs with the game like Papa John's. Crafted with signature sauce, toppings, and original fresh dough. They're the champion of pizza. And now you're the champion of winning deals. Just order at papajohns.ca. Use promo code SPORTS20 and score 20% off any regular menu price order. Better ingredients. Better pizza. Papa John's. That's Sports20.
You're listening to Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.
Nuge's Nuggets, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. What nugget of heating and cooling advice does Nuge have today?
You can save a lot of money by bundling your new furnace and AC with Legacy. It's kind of like saving money on an endorsement by bundling me, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, with someone like, Zachary Martin Hyman.
Thanks for suggesting me, Nuge. Get no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new AC and furnace from Legacy Heating and Cooling. Proud sponsor of Nuge's Nuggets.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
The madness continues at the Brick. Find huge savings in every department, like up to $900 off sofas and sectionals, up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture, up to $800 off select big screen televisions, and up to 40% off select mattresses. Plus, buy more, save more, up to an additional $500 off select major kitchen appliances. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. At the Brick, saving you more.
Gateway Toyota treats us like we're precious gems.
Because that's what we are.
Every vehicle purchased from Gateway Toyota includes enrollment into their GEM program. It stands for Gateway Exclusive Membership.
And it gives you 5-year access to over $2,500 in benefits.
Free oil changes.
Free tire and windshield repair.
Free car washes.
Even an annual detailing.
You'll also get special discounts, trade-in bonuses, and referral rewards.
I feel like a gem.
At Gateway Toyota, just off Calgary Trail at Ellerslie Road.
Hey there, it's your friends from Toyota. We see you eyeing that Tundra, already picturing yourself hauling so much firewood that your chainsaw's hiding behind the shed. It's time to stop dreaming about that new Toyota and start driving one. Lease a 2024 Tundra 4x4 double cab SR5 from $146 weekly for 64 months at 4.39% with $6,299 down. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Prairie Toyota dealer today.
Are you losing sleep over your debt? Being hounded by collection calls? My name is Parveen Middleton, a licensed insolvency trustee at BDO here in Edmonton. I understand this can be a stressful situation, and I'm here to help. I can put a stop to these collection calls and guide you towards your debt-free future. All it takes is one phone call. Let's discuss your debt relief options during a free consultation. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit bdodebt.ca to learn more.
Hi, welcome back to the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Head over there tonight, maybe grab a lotto ticket, maybe a little same-game parlay action. Remember, use your game sense at PlayAlberta.ca. Connor Halley, Declan Kruger. We've got Kate the Great keeping us on track. If you're watching on Oilers Nation YouTube or Facebook or X, we're also on Sports 1440's Instagram feed if you want to go check us out there. And of course, the text line 1-833-401-1440. If you'd like to shoot us a message, we always appreciate that. And we are going to talk some NHL because one of the storylines that I've been intrigued by this entire season so far, and really the offseason as well, was the Utah Hockey Club. And they've been something. 3-1 on the season. They've played pretty good. But we kind of got a tease. They started the season in Utah. We saw the crowd. We saw how good it was. And then they went on a road trip. Tonight they're in Anaheim to wrap up that road trip before heading home. But right now we're going to talk to Cole Bagley, is the digital insider for the team with KSL Sports. Cole, thanks so much for doing this today. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. Now, are you traveling with the team?
Yeah, I've been traveling. I was in New York and New Jersey the last couple of days. So it's been a whirlwind, but it's been honestly one of the most fun times of my life. So having a blast.
Oh, love it. What was the best part of going out east?
Oh, Madison Square Garden for sure. Not just being inside that. I mean, it's known as the most famous arena in the world, and I've been there once before, but to be there again and to be behind the scenes, to be in the locker rooms and up on press row, and to be there for an opening night, which they put on quite a show. But then to see the Utah Hockey Club kind of shock the hockey world and beat the Rangers in overtime off the backhand of Clayton Keller was just unforgettable memory and so much fun to see and incredible to see what the Utah Hockey Club's doing so far.
Yeah, they've been really exciting. We've seen a lot of great things. I want to ask you about the reception they've got in Utah, Salt Lake City, being the team there. They're new on the scene. We know pro sports works in Utah. The Jazz have shown that. but it looks like there is a really big following for this team, and kind of looks like a raucous group there. It looked like a great atmosphere for their first game against Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the hockey community here in Utah, played since I was a kid. And to be honest, I'm pretty surprised, pleasantly surprised, I should say, by the reception that the Utah Hockey Club has had. There's a saying that has been reiterated by Bill Armstrong since the team moved, and that's that Utah shows up. And they definitely have showed up so far. I mean, the reception has been unbelievable. Not just the home opener that was jam packed, a sellout of over 16,000 people inside the Delta Center, but tons, thousands more were outside, for the Shabuzi concert, for the events of the day, and then just taking notice of people around town. At the universities, just at the grocery stores, people are wearing the merchandise already, which is so crazy. But it's been fun, and I think people were excited to have another sports team in Salt Lake. That's something that they've kind of been waiting for around here is to evolve as a sports town, and the NHL fulfilled that, and they fully embraced this team. And it doesn't hurt when you start off 3-0. Obviously 3-1 now, but to get a couple wins under their belt, big wins, has definitely helped.
Yeah, and a chance to improve to 4-1 in Anaheim tonight. If they play their game, I still see no reason why they shouldn't be able to do that exactly. And a lot of young talent on this team. We'll get to that in a second. But Sean Durzi had the upper body injury. Do we have any update on how long he's going to be out for the Utah Hockey Club?
Just out for the foreseeable future. It was kind of crazy. I didn't see it initially. I noticed that he was no longer on the ice. I went back and watched it. Didn't look like a crazy hit, but it must have just caught him right. But Bill, gave us the update yesterday, upper body injury, and he's out for the foreseeable future. So they've called up coach from the Tucson Roadrunners, and Bortuzzo will be getting his first start tonight against the Anaheim Ducks.
What have you seen from Coach Turner in the game plan for this team? What kind of style play do you think they want to get into? They've got the young core. They can probably skate with a lot of teams and skill teams to death. But what do you expect to see from this club down the stretch or for the foreseeable future?
These guys like to get inside. It's not necessarily an emphasis to get a large number of shots on goal. I think they've actually been outshot in 3 of the 4 games that they've played so far. But it's kind of it's quality over quantity. But they want to get inside. They want to create traffic, and they want to move the puck, kind of within that slot area within the face-off circles. I don't know if you've noticed, but most of Dylan Gunther's goals have come from that right face-off circle. He kind of loves to get to that spot, similar to what Ovechkin did for a lot of years. He likes that one-timer slap shot. So, they're big on the forecheck. Guys like Josh Doan, Lawson Krause, they get into the dirty areas, they win the puck back, and then they move the puck really quickly to try to get inside and create rebounds and second opportunities. And so far, it's worked for the most part. New Jersey did a good job of being overly physical with Utah, which kind of took them out of their game. But it was the third game of the East Coast road trip. They'd won 2 big games, a lot of emotions, is what Bill Armstrong kind of talked about yesterday. That this team is young and they're still learning to how to handle a lot of emotion, to not get too high or too low, as he put it. But yeah, they play a unique kind of brand of hockey, but it's worked so far, and I think it could do them well this season.
Cole Bagley of KSL Sports joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley sitting in, and you touched on Dylan Gunther. He played his junior hockey here before being traded to Seattle. Obviously got the extension, and he's looking like he's certainly paying off and developing in the way that they had hoped. Playing on the second line right now, how would you grade what you've seen from this forward group as a whole so far?
Oh, probably an A, maybe an A minus, just given the fact they weren't able to produce against New Jersey. But I mean, to score 16 goals through the first 3 games, I think took a lot of people by surprise. But when you get down to it, when you really watch how these guys play, I mean, obviously that top line is phenomenal with Keller and Hayton, who's I think going to have a breakout season this year. Schmaltz, those 3 work really well together. But the second line is fantastic. With Cooley and McBain and Gunther, they bring a little bit of everything. Gunther obviously is the sniper. Cooley is such a talented creator, and he's only 20 years old, which is crazy. I think he's tied for 4th right now with 5 assists. We'll see if he can jump up that leaderboard tonight against Anaheim. But the patience that he has in the offensive zone, the awareness, he waits for the right opportunity. So him and Gunther are just a fantastic duo. And then McBain brings kind of that physicality. He gets in close to the net. He gets in hard on the forecheck. He sets up in the crease, and he opens up opportunities for those two. So I've loved what I've seen. Even the other lines have been very, very good, very productive. I like Kerfoot and Krause a lot. They've picked up some difficult goals, a couple tips and whatnot. But hey, if it crosses the line, it counts.
Looking at the back end here, obviously Sergachev comes over from Tampa, big move there. Oilers fans familiar with Michael Kesselring as he was a product of the system that was traded a few years ago. Yeah. What do you think of this group on the back end?
It's an improvement from what they've had in years past. Losing Durzi is so significant for this group. He is an incredible leader. He's an incredible person. And he's a great player, not just defensively, but offensively as well. He's been in the mix of, helping create offense. And then he's very, very good defensively. And so losing him is a big loss. I think tonight they're going to have Sergachev play on the same line as Kesselring. So Kesselring jumping up to that top line. You got Ian Cole, you got Kolyachonok, Valimaki, Bortuzzo. It's a decent defense, but they're going to miss Durzi. And it'll be interesting to see, if they go shopping for a free agent, somebody that's available, or, as we get further into the season, if things are going well offensively, they're still, grinding out some victories and in a playoff spot. If it was me, I would go and find somebody that, you can shore up that defense even more. And then if you get Durzi back, this is a team that I think is pretty dangerous. And is ready to take that next step in their rebuild process.
Yeah, in the previous segment, our usual host Jason and I were talking about this team, and we like it. We both want to see it, maybe fight for a wild card spot this season. That division is tough, though, so we'll see what happens. And my final question for you, Cole, and we do really appreciate you doing this today, joining us here on this show. The name. I don't want to get you in any trouble. I don't want you to leak any inside information, but is there a preference for you when it comes to the future name for the Utah Hockey Club?
I don't think it's much of a secret. A lot of guys have said what they think it is, and the name that has had the most attention, if you will, is Yeti. That's what I'd anticipate it's going to end up being. And the latest update that we've had from the front office is that they're currently working out legally what the name's going to be. So, they're going through that whole process. They told us, hey, we know what our fans want it to be. We know, what it's most likely going to be. We're just going through kind of all the legal actions that surround that. So I'd be surprised if they don't end up going with the Yeti. My favorite originally was Outlaws. I think that's kind of cool. It has some, historical significance here in Utah, but Yeti's, it's awesome. I think Yeti makes the most sense in terms of the color, the branding. It'll go in really nicely with that mountain blue, salt white and rock black. So that's what I would anticipate it. I haven't had anything confirmed, but a lot of guys have gone on record saying that they think it's going to be Yeti, and it's definitely the most popular here in Utah.
Yeah, some great merchandise and jersey options, mascot. That's very cool. Cole, thanks so much for doing this today. Really appreciate it, and hopefully we can get you on again down the road.
Anytime. It was a lot of fun.
There you go. Cole Bagley, KSL Sports, joining us, Utah Hockey Club Insider. That was fantastic, and big thanks to Cole for doing this. I have to say, he's covering the team. He's on the road. He's down in Anaheim. If that was me after pregame skate, I'm hitting up Disneyland, and I'm staying there till puck drop. That's just me. I know that's why I'm here and they're on the road. Those are the true professionals. But man, you got to get that Disneyland time when you can. Maybe a little California adventure even if you can make it work. Connor Halley sitting in for Jason Gregor. He will be back tomorrow. We're just going to wrap this show up, put a bow on it when we return. Declan Kruger here as well, as is Kate the Great. If you are watching on the Oilers Nation YouTube, Facebook, wherever it may be, make sure you hit that like button. I see T-Man. I see Shopcat Industries, Epiphany, and a few more of you. Gary Jules, above water. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hit that like button if you are watching on YouTube or Facebook. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll get to more of your texts, talk a little bit about the big game in the NFL tomorrow. The tradesmen move the Edmonton Oilers, of course, taking on the Preds, all that and a whole lot more. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, Facebook, YouTube, and X, brought to you by playalberta.ca.
Ain't it beautiful? There's electricity in the air. Carrie Dahl here for Volvo of Edmonton, where the Volvo XC40 and C40 fully electric vehicle is now in stock, along with a great selection of Volvo T8 hybrid models. Experience the trusted Volvo quality and technology to power into tomorrow at Volvo Cars Edmonton, Canada's only 12-time Volvo Excellence Award winners. Experience the difference.
Volvo of Edmonton.
Hockey is back, and Play Alberta, Alberta's #1 sportsbook and official partner of the Edmonton Oilers, has you covered with bigger offers, boosted odds, live betting, player props, and more. New to Play Alberta? New players now receive $200 in free bets just for signing up. You already play? Get a $10 free bet for every $100 you bet. Every week, all season long. Visit playalberta.ca and make your picks today. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
For a silly hockey fans, your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today. A premier hockey solution with a clear path for long-term development is proud to be entering its 8th season of independent borderless hockey, featuring provincial and cross-province competition with showcase-style regular season gameplay and a strong commitment to individual skill development. It's an attractive option for those seeking family life balance. The Hockey Super League offers opportunities for both male and female athletes born between 2012 and 2017. Visit hockeysuperleague.com for more information. Diablo Boots in Canada West. 2 great names in work and cowboy boots. For over 60 years, Diablo has been selling the best-made Canadian boots. Diablo has boots from sizes 6E to size 15 EE, just for you. Why buy boots made in China like Ariat, Justin, or Red Wing, when Diablo has the best quality for less, made in Canada? Diablo has work and cowboy boots with replaceable soles and heels for longer life. So, save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard, on the east side of Save On Foods. Hurry in today for best selection.
Hey there, it's your friends from Toyota. We see you pining over that RAV4 at the light. And guess what? The light's been green for a while now. It's time to stop dreaming about that new Toyota and start driving one. Lease a 2024 RAV4 LE all-wheel drive from $91 weekly for 64 months at 5.69% with $3,999 down. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Prairie Toyota dealer today.
The top junior hockey prospects from the Canadian Junior Hockey League and across the world are gathering in Camrose for the 2024 Junior A World Challenge. Ticket packages are on sale now. See all 10 games at Encana Arena from preliminary round through to the coveted gold medal game. Visit hockeycanada.ca/WJAC to learn more and to secure your seats today. That's hockeycanada.ca/WJAC.
Hey, it's Scott from Sherwood and St. Albert Dodge. I think it's safe to say we are all paying attention to interest rates these days. If so, you'll like this. We have 0% financing available on Jeep Compass, Wrangler, Grand Cherokee, and Wagoneer. 0% on the Dodge Durango and the all-new Hornet. And the rates on Ram 1500, Ram 2500, and Ram 3500, you guessed it, 0%. Are you picking up the theme? We have 0% financing on virtually all 2024 new models with hundreds to choose from. Why pay interest? Instead, come get a new vehicle at St. Albert and Sherwood Dodge.
Legacy Heating and Cooling jingle auditions take one for Gene Principe. Are you ready, Gene?
Ready. I'm not just here to make a thermo a couple of bucks. I'd never just microphone it in.
Take one.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
Nice.
Boom. I'm a musical genius.
Legacy's going to love this for furnace season.
What's not to love with no interest and no Principe payments for 1 year?
Are you always like this?
Yep. Unlike a furnace, I have no filter.
Legacy Heating and Cooling.
website.
My grandpa held my hand. Blood on the Bible, land dedication. This land made me proud. Son, I'm just sorry, there's no legacy for you now. Rain on the scarecrow.
Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440 in Oilers Nation, Facebook, YouTube, and X. You can watch on Instagram as well on Sports 1440. Go check us out there. You can also look at TikTok or YouTube on Sports 1440. You'll find some clips, some reels. Young Donovan Paulson does a great job doing that. Speaking of Donovan, we do have pre- and post-game coverage for every Oiler game this season. Tomorrow, the game gets going at 6 o'clock down in Nashville, so we'll get going at 5 o'clock. It'll be Andrew Walker, Gregor, Donovan. I think we've got Landon Ferraro, our in-game analyst, and then the boys are back for the post-game show as well. So whenever you need some pre- and post-game coverage, tune into Sports 1440, and there's giveaways. You got to tune in to find out what they are. But think like $100 worth in local places. That's all I'll say. Tune in for that. The show is brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. And, had you felt a little dangerous, you maybe looked at the Penguins and the Sabres and thought, I'd like to win some money. I'll put some money on the over tonight. Might have been a good idea. Right now, after 20 minutes, the Sabres up on the Penguins 3-1. JJ Peterka, Jordan Greenway, Tage Thompson with the goals. Tage actually scoring just 43 seconds into the game. Brian Rust would score on the power play from Malkin and Crosby as Sidney. I believe that's .1600 in the career for Sidney Crosby. 4 goals after 2 periods. We'll see if they can keep that going. Later tonight, you got Boston and Colorado and Anaheim. Utah just underway right now out in Toronto. The Leafs hosting the Kings. Just a minute into that one. So they are scoreless still here. Should say also, if you missed anything from the show, go check us out, jasongregor.com, or wherever you get your podcasts from, Apple, Spotify, iHeart. Really good show. Mike Rupp was fantastic. Mike Commodore as well. A couple Mikes, a couple former NHLers, a couple Stanley Cup champions, and now analysts. A lot of things in common, but both great interviews. We had Paul Sir, Tyler Yaremchuk, Mark Spectre, and Cole Bagley on. So if you want to go check those out, you can do so wherever you get it from. Maddie C. Nice work today, Cons. Hey, I only did an hour. Gregor did all the heavy lifting, but Maddie, thank you. We appreciate that text coming in here. Muzz says, can't they just leave it as Utah HC? Why does every team need a kitty mascot? Utah HC looks clean, mature, clean, and stands out. We saw that with the Washington football team, the Double E. We've seen it now in hockey where there is, it does seem to be a bit of a minority, but some people do like that. I think it does look good. You see it in soccer all the time, right? FC, blank, blank FC, whatever it might be. It is very simple. They have team nicknames, but, not rocking it that way on the jersey. So I don't mind it. I don't think they'll do it. I think they probably look at it and say there's just too much revenue to be made. We can appeal to some kids with the mascot. I don't mind it. I think it's good for a year. I think the Yeti would be a good one. I think the jerseys will be fantastic. They'll probably sell little Yeti dolls. Ant-Man says that guy's out to lunch. Utah HC is boring. No personality whatsoever. Let's have fun with it, guys. Well, the Yeti would be good. Get that Yeti to do some crazy things. I like mascots in sports. I thought Gritty was unbelievable when he just showed up on the scene. What is he? Nobody knows. He's just hilarious. He's good on social media. I'm okay with it. Declan, we've heard that a few times that the Yeti would likely be the name for the Utah HC. Are you good with the Yeti?
I'm okay with the Yeti. I'm cool with Utah HC, though. I think it sounds kind of clean. Like you mentioned it just now. When it was the Washington football team, I was kind of a fan. I'm not going to lie. Like there was something about it that was clear and concise that I appreciated. I like the tie into European football. I know it's probably not intentional, but it comes across that way regardless. So yeah, I don't mind it. Yeti's going to be cool. I hope the design, and this is me getting really particular with things, I just hope the design isn't too cartoonish for the logo. I want my Yetis to be realistic, I guess.
Do you remember the old ski game? I think it was called Ski Free, and the Yeti would come down and chase you.
I don't.
Probably not. It's way before your time.
Sounds like a pretty cool game. I do remember the cartoon Yeti from Scooby-Doo, and that is not what I want on as my logo.
No. Like, it's not very intimidating. Well, maybe a little bit. Like, I'm very curious to see which direction they go with the Yeti. I bet at some point they'll do a print. It'll just like the word Yeti. But
The black jerseys with the Yeti diagonally across the chest that'll be an alternate jersey for sure.
Like a drip down font going. Yeah, I don't know. We'll wait and see what they decide to do with it. I'm sure they've hired all the correct people. Harry says Inter Utah. Yeah, how about that one? Real Utah Hockey Club. That'd be cool. Tyler P says, I hope that Declan knows he's not getting overtime. Work him hard. Oh yeah, Declan's like the hardest worker here.
Oh, thank you. I'm here till the end of the Gregor Show anyway. So this is just a nice change of a seat location, really.
People don't know the work that Declan does behind the scenes. Like I'm out of here. 6:01. See ya. And then Declan's got to stick around and do all the heavy lifting. So yeah, Declan's committed.
That's not true. Connor's being he's being too nice on himself or too hard on himself. He's here till like 6:15, 6:30 every day. He's sticking around.
Okay. A text came in and said, it wasn't a Yeti on the ski game. It was a bear. LOL from Sean. Maybe that is not a bear.
You know what's crazy about that? It makes more and less sense at the same time.
Like, it might be bad radio to just turn this around and show you guys. You could probably Google it yourself. It was an abominable snowman, according to the creators, which I think is another term for a Yeti. You guys can look it up, though. He looks nothing like a bear. Maybe we were playing different games, Sean. But he is also at lunch. You have 31 teams to get excited about. Do you all 32 teams have to be cute? Muzz.
Which one of us was Buddy?
I think that might have been Ant-Man, who said the guy is out to lunch.
Okay.
You guys are way off base. I just heard the jersey is going to have a Yeti cooler on it. Kevlar. That would be unfortunate. That'd be a bad turn. Mike says, what about the old Edmonton Ice logo? See, I don't remember that one. I remember the Edmonton Ice, of course. I don't remember the logo per se. I'll have to go take a look at that one. Now, Sean, we might be talking about the same game. Ski Free. Look it up. It has its own Wikipedia page. And then scroll down to ports and re-releases. And there's a picture of this abominable snowman. And let me know. That looks like a Yeti to me. Snowman's good. But he's like silver or gray. Did you look it up, Declan?
No, I'm taking your word for it. I trust you.
You can trust me. Certainly. Patrick Surtain not going to play tomorrow, Declan, when the Denver Broncos take on the New Orleans Saints. I think Rahid Shahid's going to miss some time for the Saints. They got Spencer Rattler under center. Thursday night games have, for a long time, been mocked, as they're not always the best football. Teams don't have the most time to prepare for them. Sometimes they're going into these games a little bit banged up. This game looking like it might be that way. Sean Payton's revenge game probably could have been, on a Sunday night, maybe a Monday night. They gave it the Thursday night treatment. I'm a little concerned about it, but Declan, what are you thinking about the Thursday night or tomorrow?
Well, Spencer Rattler, primetime showing for my old Oklahoma SC guy. I'm excited to see it. The one thing I wanted to ask you was that the line is Denver at -3. Like, does that seem right to you? I just figured, listen, New Orleans has dropped 4 in a row. Obviously, no Derek Carr, no Rahid Shahid. That's going to play a factor, no question. But -3 on the road for that Denver team seems a little generous.
I thought so too. I know Alvin Kamara's got the hand injury. Shahid's out.
And Derek Carr is only listed as doubtful. Like, his estimated return date is tomorrow. So, could maybe play. Probably won't be. It'll probably be Spencer. But still, the line to me, it left me scratching my head a little.
Yeah. You know what, though? I think the Broncos, I think they're a okay football team. Like, they're only going to get better the more talent they're able to add, through free agency and the draft. But they play hard. I think I'm okay with that one, but I wouldn't be surprised to see something happen and it go the other way. Bo Nix, fun to watch. Bad interception to start the game last week, but second half it was okay. I still don't think that Cortland Sutton touchdown was actually a touchdown. But if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the team on my hat. I am biased. Tony says, look up the Winnipeg Ice. That's how you do a Yeti. Yeah, Winnipeg Ice were great. And then they moved. Did the Kootenay Ice logo have it? Yeah, I think they did too. And Winnipeg, and now they're what? Wenatchee? Can't really name an NBA. Can't really name a team in the NHL with branding that's cutesy. LOL. Mascots are for the kids. Let them enjoy themselves. Ant-Man. Yeah, I thought Hunter would be scary, but kids love it. And last one, Kev Largest says the Edmonton Ice did have a Yeti on it on the front of their jersey. Yeah, look that one up. It is cool, but in ski-free, I'm thinking it was a abominable snowman or a Yeti. That's going to do it for us here on the show. Coming up next, we got Fox Sports Radio. That'll go till 7 a.m. when Kevin Carius returns. Big thank you to everyone for tuning in. Check the podcast. Have a great night. We'll be back tomorrow at 2 o'clock to do it all over again as the Oilers take on the Preds. Right now, though, we're going to get to a Sports 1440 update with Declan Kruger, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Home of no payments, no interest for 1 year on your furnace or AC. Bundle them together and save more at legacyheating.ca. Take care, everyone. We'll be back tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Have a great night.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update, headlines around the sporting world is the Denver Broncos will be without cornerback Pat Surtain when they meet the New Orleans Saints tomorrow night. He had suffered a concussion in the first quarter of their game against the Chargers on the first drive of the day. Pittsburgh Penguins have assigned forward Rutger McGorty to the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins of the AHL. The 20-year-old has played in 3 games this season with no points and a -1 rating. 2 scores in the NHL right now. Sabres leading the Penguins 3-1 at the end of the first. Tage Thompson notching his 3rd of the season in that one. Kings and Leafs currently tied 0-0 with just over 13 to go in the first period. Bruins and Avs will meet at 7:30 in Colorado, and at 8 p.m. it's the Utah Hockey Club in Anaheim to take on the Ducks. NBA preseason action right now. Pistons leading the Cavs 47-44 with just under 7 to go in the second quarter. Nets with the same time frame trail the 76ers 44-38 in their preseason matchup, and the Miami Heat leading the Atlanta Hawks 20-6 with just under 5 to go in the first. Other games on the schedule today, we'll see the Timberwolves and the Bulls. WNBA Finals action tonight, Game 3 with the series tied 1-1 between the Liberty and Lynx. This one tips off at 6 p.m. from the Target Center in Minneapolis. And the NLCS Game 3 will go tonight with a 6:08 first pitch, just under 15 minutes time here between the Dodgers and Mets at Citi Field in New York. That's going to do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. On behalf of Connor Halley, Kate Gullickson, and Jason Gregor, I'm Declan Kruger. Fox Sports Radio will be up next. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station.